Top of the morning, Dan Proft here. So in the wee hours of Friday morning, the Illinois veto session ended. We didn't really talk about it much on Friday, so we'll talk about it a little bit today, now that there's some dust that has cleared. A lot of virtue signaling on the issue of immigration law enforcement. Some other substantive plays, though, when it came to things like sweeping road funds to try to prop up mass transit in Chicago. This was State Senator Chapin Rose from the Champaign-Urbana area. About 4 a.m. in the morning, this past Friday morning, when session had concluded, giving the lowlights.
Hey everybody, it's State Senator Chapin Rose. It's 4:28 a.m. on Halloween. General Assembly just wrapped up its fall veto session. That's the state capitol behind me. And I'm not kidding you, it's literally 4:28 a.m. Democrats raise your power bills. The Democrats put illegals over the safety of the citizens of the state of Illinois. The Democrats stole your downstate transportation funds, the motor fuel tax, the sales tax you pay on motor fuel tax. They stole it and sent it to the CTA in Chicago. That is the record of J.B. Pritzker and the Democrats who run this state.
Well, let's start, though, as it pertains to federal immigration law and law enforcement, since this is the issue they continue to focus their demagoguery on, believing that it will produce results for them with respect to their base, or at least continue to serve their base vote. We saw much of that over the weekend. Protests in Evanston, protests at Home Depot in the Belmont-Cragen neighborhood. We'll get to all that. But first, the virtue signaling legislation, really vice signaling legislation, more accurate. This ban on civil immigration arrests in state courthouses. Already the sanctuary state. We're already, per the political power structure, openly hostile to federal law enforcement and to the enforcement of immigration law, generally speaking, against anybody. No, not just the people who otherwise are here illegally, but have built these wonderful lives for themselves and have lived peaceful, productive lives. No. They are opposed to the apprehension and deportation of anyone under any reason. That's what their conduct speaks to, regardless of what they say rhetorically. House Bill 1312. New protection, quote unquote protections, because they are just fictional protections for immigration communities statewide. But it gives you an insight into the mindset, per the assertion I made, which would run counter to the assertions some of them would make. You heard J.B. Pritzker back a couple weeks ago at the Economic Club of Chicago. We're not open borders. The Democrat Party is not open borders. They are. House Bill 1312, which now goes to Jelly Belly's desk, and you can guess what he's going to do with it. Hospitals, safeguards against data sharing and clear procedures for handling immigration enforcement on hospital grounds. Ban on civil arrests in and around courthouses, reaffirming the right to seek justice without fear. 1,000-foot buffer. Yeah. ICE agents shall not come within 1,000 feet of a courthouse, like they're sexual predators, and they have distances they shall not come within the range of, or there's orders of protection, which is essentially what this purports to be. Protections for students and staff at public colleges, including limits on data disclosure and required know your rights trainings. Child care centers affirms that licensed daycare centers cannot allow immigration enforcement agents to enter without a signed judicial warrant or a court order. They know, Don Harmon even suggested so, the Socialist Senate president, who's facing a nearly $10 million fine for illegally raising money, knowingly doing so. We'll see if the State Board of Elections, as we've discussed, can see their way fit to impose the fine that has been recommended by them. We're standing here because our communities have been living in fear, the fear of being separated from their children, fear of being taken from their homes, fear of simply existing. That's Selena Villanueva, Democrat, Socialist State Senator from Chicago. Bill is about giving people a sense of safety, a sense of humanity, assurance that the government sees them and will stand up for them. Well, even as I was getting to, Don Harmon recognizes, this is going to face legal challenge. This could be problematic, but it was important for us to send messages. That's what your General Assembly, your political ruling class in Illinois mainly does, is just take rhetorical positions, play press release politics, just like BLM Brandon declaring Chicago an ice-free zone. That's wonderful, and you can all applaud yourselves, and you can congratulate yourselves for your sociopathic empathy, but it doesn't mean a whole heck of a lot because there's this thing called the Supremacy Clause. So this is all performative in nature, but as we understand, mainly people want is performance, entertainment, the beautiful lies, the appearance of doing something. The actual real-world consequences are so much less interesting, and so we don't pay them very much mind as a general rule. Certainly, the party I'm talking about and the constituents of the party I'm talking about certainly don't pay it very much mind, so you don't need to get all worked up about it. Jonathan Turley, of course, the constitutional lawyer, George Washington University, he had a good piece on this, too, just talking about Illinois, but not limited to Illinois because it's, well, not limited to Illinois. Blue states' new anti-ICE laws are unconstitutional virtue signaling. He just goes on to write that these law make courthouses equivalent to churches where suspects can claim sanctuary, not only when they cross the threshold, but within 1,000 feet, unless, of course, ICE ignores the law. The chief judge in Cook County issued an order with the same prohibition. But he goes on to say that's all well and good. The authority for the orders is highly dubious. The federal government can cite laws mandating the arrest of certain individuals for immigration violations, including mandatory detention of certain aliens who are removable due to criminal convictions or terrorist activities in detention, and removal of aliens with final orders of removal. And so, as I mentioned, and he mentions, the Supremacy Clause of the Constitution. The Constitution, laws of the United States, which shall be made in pursuance thereof, shall be the supreme law of the land, anything in the Constitution or laws of any state to the contrary notwithstanding. The second problem, Turley points out, is the Supreme Court, which has repeatedly rejected state authority to dictate federal law enforcement policies. And he cites a 1952 case in terms of the substantiation here. So, for all of the discussion of lawlessness and authoritarian gambits and unconstitutionality and the threat to our democracy, of course, it is they who most often bemoan these alleged occurrences who are the practitioners of said transgressions, right? They do what they accuse the other side of, and of course the accusing the other side of is the smokescreen that they hope will at least serve their constituents sufficiently so that they retain their offices. It's a tried and true tactic in Chicago and Illinois, and it seems to work, so why stop it now? Pritzker, speaking to the IFT, the Illinois Federation of Teachers, and their newly minted boss, CTU, IFT, JB, BJ, all those acronyms lead to Stacey Davis Gates, SDG. SDG with BJ and JB, the IFT, the CTU. Talking tough. More tough talk from the little fat Nepo baby. Talking tough, trying to be down with the struggle, channeling his inner Mom Donnie.
They want to criminalize educators for supporting LGBTQ students. They want to turn classrooms into cultural war battlegrounds. And I'm sorry to be vulgar, but Donald Trump and his cronies can all the way off.
Yes, and all of those apparatchiks who, another case study, are the practitioners of what they accuse Donald Trump of doing. Cheered mightily along. Donald Trump and his allies, and that includes obviously with the enforcement of immigration law, can F all the way off. Well, okay. I appreciate it. I mean, I appreciate the entertainment of that fat little Nepo baby trying to be a tough guy and offer some street lingo. But I appreciate even more that the lines are drawn. And so the choice becomes clearer with each passing day. And different people in different places will make different decisions, but at least you can't say you didn't know. Craig in Mount Greenwood, you're on Chicago's Morning Answer.
Yeah, thanks for taking my call, Dan. Yeah, you had some audio there where these politicians, everyone were talking about what they're afraid of. Let me tell you a couple of things I'm afraid of. I'm afraid these rotten leftists, they're going to let criminals out and everything like that, and then take away my rights to have a firearm so that I can protect myself. Then I'm also afraid that they're going to basically give all kinds of free transportation to bums and people who don't work and illegals and everything like that to hop on all kinds of trains and L's and buses and everything like that, and then raise my tollway because I pay taxes. I drive a car and I go on a tollway. I got to pay all this money, and they raise that up, and people with businesses raise it all up. These rotten scumbags and everything, Pritzker being one of the top ones, everything, all they care about is rewarding people who are illegal or criminal.
Thanks for the call, Craig. Well, yeah, there's more on that topic because it wasn't just that enhanced sanctuary state legislation that's heading to Jelly Belly's desk. It's also something known as the Clean Slate Act, this Clean Slate Act, singular, I should say, which is intended to hide criminal backgrounds, criminal records, from prospective employers for people with said criminal backgrounds. We'll pick it up there, talk about one of those emblematic crimes, one of those unfortunate events, because it was a violent crime, that really encapsulates what Chicago has become. I know we'll be accused of manufacturing crisis, but I'm game for it if you are. We'll tackle it at 5:38. Now we check the headlines.
Good morning. It is 43 degrees here in Chicago on AM 560, The Answer. I'm Stace Keene in the AM 560 newsroom. The federal government shutdown has persisted for more than a month now, and federal funding for the Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program, also known as SNAP, has run dry. Massachusetts Democratic Governor Maura Healey was on CBS's Face the Nation, joining the legal pushback against the Trump administration.
I was at food pantries yesterday. I mean, people across our state do not want to see people go hungry.
And Chicago police are asking for the public's help in identifying a man that they believe is responsible for a string of robberies that are targeting area pharmacies. According to the Chicago Police Department, that suspect has jumped over the counter of at least 7 North End pharmacies over the past several weeks and stolen narcotics. Anyone with information is asked to contact the Belmont area detectives. This report is sponsored by Blindster.com. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next, but now a check of your forecast from the National Weather Service.
Scott Jennings explains the impact of the shutdown.
House Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries said that he is opposing a Senate Republican bill to extend pay to the troops and to some federal workers during the shutdown, all to appease a radical left-wing base. It is pathetic political theater.
The Scott Jennings Show. Weekdays at 1, right before Hugh Hewitt at 2 on AM 560. The Answer.
Perhaps you're a collector, or perhaps all of a sudden you have a collection. Maybe it's an inheritance. How do you know what it's worth? This is Sean Thompson for Donley Auction. The market for antiques and collectibles is changing all the time. What is your collection worth right now? Well, I've got an easy way to find out. It's simple. You contact Donley Auctions with their worldwide audience of live and in-person auctions. They have a good idea of how to tell you exactly what it's worth at exactly right now. They're ready to put top dollar in your pocket. The bigger the collection, the better. Go to DonleyAuctions.com and get the info on all things that they buy and sell to have an idea of exactly what Donley does and how much they need your collection. They have so many buyers, it's a great time to sell. Just simply make a phone call. Donley has traveled all over the country to pick up collections. Just call and talk to the people at Donley Auctions at 815-923-7000. Donley Auctions is your trusted partner in turning your collections into cash. DonleyAuctions.com.
Wealth Health Radio.
The biggest fears that people have is, do I have enough money to retire?
Retirement doesn't have to be complicated.
To make sure that you're going through retirement with confidence.
Learn principles of income planning.
There's a lot of different facets that you need to take into consideration when you're retiring.
Tune into Wealth Health Radio with Joe Murphy, noon to 1 p.m. Sundays on AM 560, The Answer.
A voice for the new right, charting a new path forward for American conservatism. It's the Josh Hammer Show.
What is the alternative to engaging with your political opponents, to hearing out their criticism in as happy warrior-like fashion as you can have it? The day that we replace that with, God forbid, with violence, that's how republics die. There is nothing good down that road.
The Josh Hammer Show on the Salem Podcast Network. Subscribe today on Apple, Spotify, YouTube, or at SalemPodcastNetwork.com.
Picture this. You're halfway through a DIY car fix and boom, you're missing a part. It's okay, because whatever it is, it's on eBay, and it's guaranteed to fit every time. eBay. Things people love.
Now, your official weather forecast.
Today will be sunny to partly cloudy, breezy, and pleasant with a high of 61. Tonight will be partly cloudy with a low of 41. Tomorrow, expect partly sunny skies with a high of 62. Wednesday will bring pleasant conditions with sunshine and some clouds reaching a high of 57. Thursday will have sun peeking through high clouds with a high of 58. I'm meteorologist Jason Catarina on AM 560, The Answer.
Get the latest weather, traffic, and news updates online at 560theanswer.com.
This hourly segment is brought to you by Forever Remodeling. Stress-free and high-quality remodeling. View their stunning transformations online at the number 4everremodeling.com.
Now, from the Signature Bank Studios.
If you're talking, they will hear you.
We all want our kids to grow up safe and healthy. So we show them how. And we tell them with honest conversations that let them know what we expect. Not just one time, but every chance we get. That's especially important when it comes to alcohol and other drugs. Kids not only need to know the dangers and how to avoid them, they need to hear it often from you. And when it comes to pain medications, opioids, they need to know that they should never be taken without a prescription and never shared with friends or family. It's dangerous and illegal. So talk with your kids and guide them through the challenges of growing up safe and healthy. Because when you talk, they hear you. For more information about talking with your kids about underage use of alcohol and other drugs, visit underagedrinking.samhsa.gov.
So talk, they hear you. You can do it if you try. If you're talking, they will hear you.
We all want our kids to grow up safe and healthy. So we show them how. And we tell them with honest conversations that let them know what we expect. Not just one time, but every chance we get. That's especially important when it comes to alcohol and other drugs. Kids not only need to know the dangers and how to avoid them, they need to hear it often from you. And when it comes to pain medications, opioids, they need to know that they should never be taken without a prescription and never shared with friends or family. It's dangerous and illegal. So talk with your kids and guide them through the challenges of growing up safe and healthy. Because when you talk, they hear you. For more information about talking with your kids about underage use of alcohol and other drugs, visit underagedrinking.samhsa.gov.
So talk, they hear you. You can do it if you try.
To protect his home and family from disaster, Steve used courage, wisdom, and his camera phone.
That should do it.
Way to go, Steve! By simply taking digital pictures of his family's important documents, Steve can always have them stored safely online, no matter when disaster strikes. Learn other simple ways to protect your home and family before a natural disaster at ready.gov. That's ready.gov. A message from FEMA and the Ad Council.
What if being in recovery from a mental or substance use disorder was something we proudly showed the world? Millions of people are in recovery, sharing hope and support with family, friends, and community. Join the Voices for Recovery. For confidential information for mental and substance use disorders, call 1-800-662-HELP. Brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services.
I love this song.
I love nachos.
Loving everything? You might be buzzed.
You know what I'd love? A ride when it's time to head out.
If you see a buzzed warning sign, call for a ride when it's time to go home. Buzz driving is drunk driving. A message from NHTSA and the Ad Council.
It's a bully, but we aren't afraid of a fight. It's elusive, but our focus never fades. It's deadly, but we were born to defeat cancer. You may not have heard of us, but our work has helped millions impacted by cancer. We are the Leukemia and Lymphoma Society. We are leaders in advancing breakthroughs in immunotherapy, genomics, and personalized medicine. This research saves lives. After 65 years of fighting blood cancers, we've arrived at a game-changing belief. The cures for cancer are in our blood. The drugs and treatments we've developed for blood cancers have helped people affected by many different types of cancers. We are the Leukemia and Lymphoma Society. Beating cancer is in our blood. Learn more at LLS.org.
To protect his home and family from disaster, Steve used courage, wisdom, and his camera phone.
That should do it.
Way to go, Steve! By simply taking digital pictures of his family's important documents, Steve can always have them stored safely online, no matter when disaster strikes. Learn other simple ways to protect your home and family before a natural disaster at ready.gov. That's ready.gov. A message from FEMA and the Ad Council.
Dan Proft here. One of these crimes, like the infamous Scream crime in Lakeview, when a woman walking down a sidewalk in Lakeview on a Sunday afternoon, car stops, three guys get out, jump her, and she sends out these blood-curdling screams that were caught by a Ring camera on somebody's door. Turned into a television ad that I ran in 2022 briefly to underscore, and briefly only because it got pulled from the air because of outrage at the truth, outrage at the reality on the ground in Chicago. We don't want to see that. Don't you understand? My children could be watching one of these Ghastly Network affiliate sitcom, or one of these Ghastly sitcoms on a network affiliate. When that ad comes on, it could scare them. The reality of your neighborhood doesn't scare them, though, and shouldn't scare them. A representation, a 30-second representation of it, that's what's offensive. Not the actual reality of these predatory criminals running loose on the streets of even Lakeview. Right. So we have another such story. And the juxtaposition couldn't be better. While Jelly Belly was passing out candy on Halloween in Mexican-American, largely Mexican-American or neighborhood. Your camera's in tow, of course. The cameras just happen to be there for him to pass out candy and have somebody narrate what the governor was doing in Spanish while everybody took selfies, and he postured before these mascots. While that was happening, across town, a dude gets out. I mean, it clearly it must have been, although CWB Chicago, which had the story because they've got the video, didn't confirm this. But basically, a guy gets out of his car and he's getting this little girl out of the passenger seat. She's in a costume. She's got her little Halloween, jack-o'-lantern bucket where she's collecting her candy. So he's getting her out of the car, little girl, assume it's father and daughter. and a guy rolls up on him, points a gun at him. Three armed men, 2 others join. Seen pistol whipping, robbing, and carjacking the man at gunpoint seconds after he helped this little girl out of his car to trick or treat in Bridgeport. And the photo is, I don't mean this in a positive way, obviously, but this is going to be an iconic photo. It should be, at least, a representation of Chicago. You have, I'm sure, a former CPS honor student. I don't know that either. I'm just guessing. Pointing a gun at a guy with a backpack who just got his little girl out of a car so she could trick or treat. She is standing just to the right of the assailant pointing a gun at her dad. I'm assuming her dad. This little girl. I mean, she's got to be under 6 years old. Bundle up. As CWB Chicago reports, and you can watch the video for yourself there, posted it over the weekend, the story. Throughout the horrifying ordeal, the little girl looked on, seemingly trying to decide if what she was seeing was part of the spooky fun of Halloween, but it was not. As the guy backs up away from her to, draw the guys to him, he backs up towards the gate where, in the sidewalk where they're parked in front of some house. And then these guys run up. She's just standing frozen on the sidewalk. Then a third guy comes up to the parked SUV while the first two, push him around. I think hit him with a gun. Then they jump into the one jumps into the driver's seat and they flee. And he's sort of, staggering around a little bit, stunned at what just happened. But you have to see the picture. And the video, for that matter, at CWB Chicago. And as I said, photo op for the governor. I don't know where he was, Little Village or Pilsen probably. Meanwhile, in Bridgeport, 3 former CPS honor students pistol whipping and carjacking this guy. And what is the likely result if and when these 3 dudes are ever captured? Oh, well. Does that even constitute a violent crime in Chicago anymore? Probably a stern conversation with their social worker. Please don't carjack and beat people in front of little children. It can be traumatizing for them. And, maybe if you took this art therapy class, yes, it's complimentary, taxpayer paid for. If you take and pass this art therapy class, get more in touch with your empathetic side, and we won't have to deal with this unfortunate business anymore. I'm sure it will be something like that. 312-642-5600, turnkey.pro answer line. Just another story, but this one has a picture that will be emblazoned upon your memory once you see it. Because otherwise, it's just the normal stuff. Just the normal stuff that happens on a daily basis, not a weekly, not just a weekends, on a daily basis in Chicago. Just the normal stuff. Like this story. A gunman wearing ankle monitor fires shots at cops during pursuit. Man accused of shooting at a police officer during a pursuit in Jefferson Park, wearing a court-ordered electronic monitoring bracelet from an earlier case at the time of the incident. He's charged with attempted first-degree murder of a peace officer, which is still a crime, you'll be happy to note, and other felonies connected with the shooting attempt, which started at a McDonald's drive-thru around 4 in the afternoon, because cops spotted a stolen Jeep Cherokee. The sergeant in full uniform, driving a marked car, positioned his vehicle to block the Jeep's exit, ordered the driver to put the vehicle in park. He complied only partially, lifting his hands but keeping the vehicle in gear. Then he accelerated forward, striking the squad car twice while ignoring commands to stop. Remember, he's got an ankle monitor on, so he's not an unknown. As the Jeep's tires screeched and one became flat, pushed past the squad car, drove onto Gale Street, pursued by a sergeant, where the sergeant heard loud bangs and saw the Jeep's rear window shatter. Multiple muzzle flashes followed from the driver's side of the moving vehicle, prompting the sergeant to radio that shots were being fired at him. You know, the normal stuff. I mean, I tell you those stories, obviously people's ears glaze over. Yawn. But maybe if you see a little girl's dad being carjacked and pistol whipped while she's trying to enjoy Halloween trick-or-treating, maybe that will register with a few people or a few more people. I don't know. Armed violence, unlawful possession of a firearm by a repeat violent offender, aggravated discharge of a firearm, possession of a stolen motor vehicle, and aggravated battery to a police officer. Now they're going to detain him. Now, you know what? I think this guy might be a safety risk. So in his infinite wisdom, Cook County Judge James Costello said, you know, this go around after the shooting at police officers, stealing a car, and blah, 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 all the other business. Maybe this guy isn't the former honor student just about to turn his life around that we thought when we released him on an ankle monitor the first go around. I mean, again, the juxtapositions. You got your go ahead and F the frick off. F off, says Pritzker to Trump and his minions. You can just F off. Manufacture crisis, no problems here. We know what we're doing. We're doing it. It's working. He's got a photo op in Pilsen or Little Village, one of those neighborhoods, to pump up his Latina numbers. And meanwhile, cops are getting shot at in Jefferson Park, and a little girl is watching her dad get carjacked in Bridgeport. They don't need any help. 312-642-5600, turnkey.pro answer line. Greg, Jefferson Park, speaking of which.
Hey, good morning, Dan. Hope you had a good weekend. You know, it just never ends. I mean, you know, you got Jefferson Park and Bridgeport, two what used to be decent communities, turning into war zones slowly but surely. I mean, this happened at the McDonald's right across the street from the kitty corner to the Jefferson Park train terminal, where you got both the Metro and the Blue Line. And it's a bus terminal with buses going in and out, people walking all over the place. And McDonald's is packed all the time. 4 o'clock in the afternoon, beginning of the rush hour, and this guy's just blasting out the back of his window. Unreal, man. Absolutely unreal. You know, what could possibly go wrong, you know?
Big city living, Greg. That's all it is. Big city living. Oh, and that leads us to veto session, rounding out the discussion. L.G. Sims is a state Senate human from, I think, the south side of Chicago. He's a big Pritzker Purge Law advocate. No cash bail. Big proponent. Got another big idea known as the Clean Slate Act, House Bill 1836, if you're scoring at home. This is going to Governor Jellybelly's desk, too. What do you think he'll do with that? Probably. You think the same thing he'll do with the legislation to prohibit ICE officers from coming within 1,000 feet of a courthouse and staying out of hospitals and away from schools and so on and so forth, being, you know, the social pariah that federal law enforcement officers are. The Clean Slate Act is about creating pathways to opportunity for people who've earned a second chance. What does that mean exactly? I mean, just as a quick aside, because they've served time, they've earned a second chance? I think the second chance is earned when you demonstrate that you're no longer going to prey on people. Not just because you've served time and some daffy Cook County judge lets you out or imposed a light sentence, you got out earlier with the waste on the silly way we do paroling, frankly, in this state. The Pritzker-appointed parole board that lets cop killers out. Pathways of opportunity for people who have earned a second chance. What's the pathway, Dan? I'm glad you asked. By automating the sealing process for eligible records, Says Senator Sims, we're removing unnecessary bureaucratic obstacles that keep people from finding employment, securing housing, fully reintegrating into their communities. The Clean Slate Act, you see, would automate the sealing of criminal records. You don't have to jump through any uncomfortable hoops that are already eligible under current law. So you wouldn't have to petition. It's just automatic. Rubber stamp it. So much easier. Non-conviction records would be automatically sealed. Serious crimes, they say, such as murder, basically Class X felonies, are excluded from automatic sealing, but you still petition to get them sealed. The sealed records won't be available to private background check companies. Law enforcement, prosecutors, courts, or DCFS and state agents authorized by laws would still retain access to the records. Well, that's wonderful. But, if I'm, I don't know, an employer and I've got somebody applying for a job that has committed theft a bunch of times, but it was theft like less than $1,000. And you remember the heady days when Kim Foxx was Cook County State's attorney. I mean, those weren't even prosecuted. But they might show up on an arrest record. And that might be something interesting for an employer to know that, for example, he is considering hiring a serial thief. I don't know, maybe material to the kind of workplace environment an employer would seek to have. And maybe the guy can convince him that he has actually earned a second chance or a third chance or a fifth chance or a 10th chance, and that he really is turned over a new leaf, and he's a conscientious guy, and he's not going to do those things that he used to do, perhaps. But I'm not sure why the law-abiding person should be compelled to fly blind here, unless there's a good case for the sealing of such records. Yeah, I thought we were in the era of transparency. I hear politicians talk about it all the time. Why shouldn't an employer have a full look at the public records and what should be the public records of a prospective employee so they can make an informed decision? Maybe on balance, there's somebody more qualified who's also applying for the same job and has otherwise been law-abiding. I'm all for earned second chances. I really am. But this idea that we default by sort of putting our finger on the scale for the person who has not played by the rules to disadvantage the person or persons who have played by the rules, I find a bit troubling. I don't know about you. Phil and Lyle, you're on Chicago's Morning Answer.
Hey, Dan. I work construction in the city of Chicago and, Cook County, Northern Illinois, and we always have to do a background check to work in any of the schools. So they no longer going to do background checks and let anybody in these schools with the kids?
Well, that's a good question, Phil. Thanks for the call. I mean, they could do background checks, but there are going to be a certain class of crimes that don't show up because the records are automatically sealed under this law, or when Pritzker signs it and becomes law. That's what's going to happen. Yeah. Well, again, to the extent that somebody doesn't have a full look at somebody else and they employ them and it breaks bad, it's big city living. That's just how we do it in the big city, cosmopolitan, enlightened place. And if, some law-abiding people have to suffer additionally because of our good intentions, well, wasn't the way it made you feel when we passed that bill and the governor signed it into law? Isn't that really what's most important? The way you felt about it in that moment? Sort of that do-gooder kick in your step that you had when we all came together to do something that was barbarous, but we felt really good about it. George in Naperville.
Yes, good morning, Dan. First, I'd like to say with all that money he won gambling, I hope Pritzker was giving out full-size candy bars. And as far as that man getting hijacked, maybe those guys were taking the car to take some underprivileged kids to the suburbs to trick or treat.
Could have been. Yeah, right. Thanks for the call. Exigent circumstances, George. Sure. Probably candidates at worst for ankle monitoring. Like I said, maybe just a little bit of a counseling session with a social worker and an art therapy class or a after-school program, even though I think they're past the schooling age. My sense of it. Coming up at 6:06, Trump's first interview with 60 Minutes since he won that lawsuit. It's now 6 o'clock on AM 560 WIND.
The eve of Election Day, CJ Papa, Fox News. Now, President Obama on the ground this week in a pair of states on the East Coast where Democrats want to remain in power in the governor's mansion for a third straight term. That's New Jersey. And they want to seize control again, booting out Republicans in the state house. That's Virginia. Fox's Mano Rivera has more.
Democrats are bringing out their biggest closer, former President Obama, to give candidates a boost. He headlined rallies in New Jersey and Virginia over the weekend where he took jabs at President Trump. Despite Obama's criticism, Republicans believe they have a very good chance of flipping New Jersey's governor's seat red. A Fox News poll shows Democrat Mikey Sherrill leads Republican Jack Ciattarelli by 7 percentage points, but some believe the race is tighter than that, giving Democrats the jitters. In Virginia, Democratic gubernatorial candidate Abigail Spanberger's lead over Lieutenant Governor Winsome Earl Sears is wider. Democrats hope anger over the firing and furloughs of federal workers will galvanize voters.
That's Fox's Mano Rivera. President Trump holding tele-rallies this evening in Virginia and New Jersey, trying to sway voters who have not cast their vote early to vote for Republicans running for governor in those states. A brisk early voting in the Big Apple where the mayor seat is up for grabs.
On the city's west side in New York, there are long lines. People I talked to said they have not seen lines like this for a local election in decades. That's because the national spotlight is right here in the Big Apple. As that race continues to narrow, people want to make sure their vote will count.
I've never seen an election and lines like this up the block before the actual election day, which I'm hoping is a good sign for Cuomo.
And I just checked in with former New York Governor Andrew Cuomo's campaign, who tells Fox that the larger the voter turnout is, the better they believe it is for them. And Cuomo thinks he can close the gap on Democratic nominee Zoran Mamdani.
Fox's Alexa McAdams in New York City. America's listening to Fox News.
It is 42 degrees here in Chicago on AM 560, The Answer. I'm Stace Keene in the AM 560 newsroom. Governor J.B. Pritzker says he looks forward to signing the public transit legislation into law. The General Assembly passed the Northern Illinois Transit Authority Act in the final hours of the fall veto session. That bill authorizes the Regional Transportation Authority to raise sales taxes by 0.25% in Cook County and the collar counties outside of Chicago. It also increases tolls on the Illinois tollways and takes gas money from the state's road fund. Illinois has passed a bill allowing terminally ill patients to self-administer life-ending medication with no required medical supervision, which is sparking fierce debate over safety, ethics, and the late-night fall veto session votes. Katrina Barker has the story.
State Representative Bill Howder warned that the bill lets patients obtain and use medication without any medical supervision, a concern shared by the Illinois State Medical Society and the American Medical Association, which say it fundamentally violates physicians' oath to do no harm.
No, it's not at the hospital at all. In fact, there's no requirement to have any medical personnel around. And so what it is just a prescription. And then there's always dispensing issues, and our pharmacies are going to opt out, and you know, so there'll only be a few pharmacies, and you'll have to travel, or they'll mail them to you.
State Senator Laura Fine framed the measure as an act of mercy.
This is not suicide. It is compassion.
I'm Katrina Barker.
News is a service of AlmostFreeTeeth.com. Think full mouth dental implants are too expensive? Think again. Not at AlmostFreeTeeth.com. With medical insurance, you could save thousands and receive your finally affordable dream smile. Check if you qualify today at AlmostFreeTeeth.com. A check of the roads is coming up in 2 minutes on AM 560, The Answer.
Get your tickets for Freedom Summit Chicago 2025, happening on Saturday, November 8th at Westin Chicago Northwest in Itasca. This year, featuring Dr. Ben Carson, Scott Jennings, Mike Gallagher, along with Dan Proft, Sean Thompson, John Anthony, and many more. This event will sell out fast, so get your tickets today at freedomsummitchicago.com. That's freedomsummitchicago.com. Sponsored in part by True Power Generator Service, Woodland Windows and Doors, and by Moms for Liberty.
We all know the importance of good daily habits, whether it's getting your steps in, stretching those limbs, or eating right. Doing it on the regular is key. That's why if you're dealing with everyday aches and pain, it's time to bring Relief Factor into your routine. Relief Factor is a daily supplement that fights pain naturally. Developed by doctors, Relief Factor uses a special formula of 4 natural ingredients. Relief Factor doesn't just mask pain, it helps reduce or even eliminate it. In fact, the longer you take it, the more effective it is. So call 1-800-4-RELIEF and try their 3-week quick start for only $19.95. That's less than $1 a day. Simply call 1-800-4-RELIEF. That's 1-800-4-RELIEF. Wherever you're having pain, don't let it keep you from living the life you want. Make Relief Factor part of your daily routine. Go to ReliefFactor.com or call 1-800-4-RELIEF. That's 1-800-4-RELIEF.
Honey, what's for dinner?
Honestly, nothing.
Nothing. Why not?
Because every time I need a pan, I have to unload half the kitchen first.
It's like Jenga, but with casserole dishes.
Exactly. And I always lose.
At Forever Remodeling, we create kitchens that fit your life, not the other way around. From smart storage to stunning finishes, start cooking in a kitchen built just for you. Visit foreverremodeling.com. That's the number 4, everremodeling.com.
Want to see if you could pay less in taxes? Try the quick and easy tax calculator at willsave.com. Yes, a free tax calculator. That's WILSAVE.com. Calculate how you could keep more of your hard-earned money and give less to Uncle Sam, especially in retirement. Get your free tax analysis today at willsave.com. And don't forget to tune in to Protecting Your Assets with Steve Shyman every Saturday morning at 8, right here on AM 560, The Answer.
If you or someone you love are getting high quotes for dental implants, visit almostfreeteeth.com today. With a medical PPO insurance plan, it's possible to save 90% off on average to be able to smile again. Check if you qualify now at almostfreeteeth.com.
Did the Protestant Reformation suffer a premature death? Absolutely, argues the riveting book, Reviving the Reformation by Dr. Daniel Lang. The book of Acts chapter 21 verse 20 reports that myriads or tens of thousands of Jewish believers dwelled in Jerusalem, and they were all zealous for the Torah. Their leaders were guiding the early Messianic faith. 40 years after the death of Jesus, however, the Jews revolted against Rome. This rebellion caused a Roman hammer to crush Israel, destroying the temple and Jerusalem. Following this devastation, the leadership of the Jerusalem church fell into other hands. Reviving the Reformation recovers the lost first-century Messianic faith. It answers the most difficult questions that some dare not ask about traditional Christianity. Buy Reviving the Reformation on Amazon. For a deep discount, purchase the book securely from the author at revivingthereformation.com. That's revivingthereformation.com. And like Reviving the Reformation on Facebook. With biblical faith fading fast in Western culture, now is the time to restore the truth by reviving the Reformation.
Sign up for the AM 560 Answer Advantage to get early alerts on event ticket sales, special discounts, and contest opportunities. Sign up today at 560theanswer.com/advantage.
Taking a look at the roads from the Team Hochberg Traffic Center, I'm Sue Aller. Stop and go delays on the Dan Ryan inbound from 95th Street to 75th Street, all because of a collision off on the left shoulder. So it's going to be 14 minutes to make your way to the Burn interchange. Outbound looks good at 10. Inbound Stevenson from the Tri-State to Lakeshore is 17. Outbound is 15. No delays both ways on the Eden from Lake Cook to Montrose. Inbound is 14. Outbound is 13. Inbound Kennedy from O'Hare to the Burn interchange is 18 minutes. Now it's 27 minutes on the outbound side. You are stop and go between 90 and Mannheim Road. The Eisenhower inbound from Wolf to the Old Post Office, that looks good at 13. Outbound, no delays at 15. The exit ramp is shut down on the Reagan Memorial Tollway, and that is on the outbound side to get off to the southbound Tri-State. That's a long-term construction project. Traffic is a service of AM 560 Store. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next, but now a check of your forecast from the National Weather Service.
Today will be sunny to partly cloudy, breezy, and pleasant with a high of 61. Tonight will be partly cloudy with a low of 41. Tomorrow, expect partly sunny skies with a high of 62. Wednesday will bring pleasant conditions with sunshine and some clouds reaching a high of 57. Thursday will have sun peeking through high clouds with a high of 58. I'm meteorologist Jason Caterina on AM 560, The Answer.
Get the latest weather, traffic, and news updates online at 560theanswer.com. Now, from the Signature Bank Studios, this is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft on AM 560. The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan Proft here. President Trump doing his first sit-down with 60 Minutes since he won that big lawsuit that was settled for, what was it, $16 million or something like that. Anyway, Norah O'Donnell was the interviewer. And, the most salient issue of the moment, particularly domestically, is, of course, ICE operations in this country. And Trump established the first principle here. Here's the first principle. Here's the baseline. This is where we start from, and we proceed accordingly.
More recently, Americans have been watching videos of ICE tackling a young mother, tear gas being used in a Chicago residential neighborhood, and the smashing of car windows. Have some of these raids gone too far?
No, I think they haven't gone far enough because we've been held back by the judges, by the liberal judges that were put in by Biden and by Obama.
You're okay with those tactics?
Yeah, because you have to get the people out. You have to look at the people. Many of them are murderers. Many of them are people that were thrown out of their countries because they were, criminals.
Right. The first principle was there at the end. The first thing you have to do is you get people in this country here illegally out. You enforce the law so people know the law is a real thing and you can have confidence that will be enforced. And then Trump went on to say, and provide a path back for them legally, particularly those who self-deport. If there's an app for that, then you have the opportunity to come back to this country the right way. Like all those people around the world that are queued up trying to come into this country the proper way. Have they gone too far? Oh, you think because you're engaged in the typical histrionics? You think because you're demagoguing or worse, agitating or worse, assaulting law enforcement officers that I'm going to back down now? No. And this is why Trump is a two-term president. 312-642-5600, turnkey.pro answer line. And those 60s refugees in Evanston and the neo-Marxists in the Belmont-Cragen neighborhood, well, you can prosecute your position. And the Trump administration will prosecute people who are here illegally. And we'll see how that goes for everybody. Sound good? I'm talking about Evanston because there was an incident that got all of these androgynous 60s refugees out from their homes and into the square to protest what had happened. There was an incident between a couple that was following an ICE vehicle. And when the ICE vehicle made a sudden stop because they knew they were being tailed, the two ICE chasers crashed into the back of the vehicle, at which point ICE officers got out of the car and got them out of their car and took them into custody.
Witnesses say a man and a woman in a red car were following agents to warn people of their presence. That's when bystanders say agents slammed on their brakes, causing the people in the car to crash into the agents' vehicles. Neighbors say a man and a woman were then dragged out of a car. We blur their faces because we don't know if they've been charged. Cell phone video shows one agent punching the man on the ground. At one point, an agent appears to pull out a gun on a bystander and threatens to pepper spray him.
Well, because you have this crowd gathering. Oh, and there's a little bit more to it. You know, there's the full story. There's the story you get from the network affiliate news in a place like Chicago. And then there's the fuller story that helps explain why the individual that was being arrested had to be roughed up a little bit because he was resisting arrest in spectacular fashion, according to ICE.
Department of Homeland Security Assistant Secretary Tricia McLaughlin writing on X today. The individual arrested in this video assaulted and kicked Border Patrol agents as he was being arrested. Here, he aggressively grabbed the agent's genitals and wouldn't let go.
I guess we don't have that
The agent
audio.
delivered several defensive strikes to free his genitals from the perp's grasp.
Was grabbing the ICE officer by the family jewels and would not let go of the family jewels. So the ICE officer had to take appropriate action to get the dude's hand off of his family jewels. That's why. But fear not, because Daniel Biss is on the job. Mommy's little boy, Danny. He's the mayor of Evanston. He's running to be a congresswoman. And make no mistake, the Evanston police are fully investigating this.
Now exploring options about whether the right course of action is to work with the Cook County State's Attorney to press charges like that, or refer instead perhaps to the Civil Rights Division of the Department of Justice. But there's an open investigation, and they're gathering evidence and figuring out the best course of action.
The Evanston police are on the job to do Daniel Biss's bidding. We'll see about that. A representative of the Evanston crowd. This Rawful, inner 60s, typical. Basically what you see at all of these neo-Marxist protests, including the ICE variety, the ones that are of the ICE variety.
I was appalled that a block from my home, people were dragged out of a car by masked men, some not masked, I'll say, but and beaten in the face.
Hey, did you hear about the grabbing the guy's genitals part there, Kate Levin? Yeah. And, of course, you had to have a female Unitarian preacher on hand to comment as well. I mean, what's an Evanston rally without a female Unitarian preacher? You want to talk about the feminization of America? That discussion we had last week? Evanston is ground zero.
My faith teaches me that no one is illegal and no one deserves to be dehumanized.
Meanwhile, over in Belmont Craig in front of the Home Depot, queer Latina alderperson Jessie Fuentes was rallying the faithful against ICE operations at Home Depots. They want Home Depot to take a stand. To stand with them and against federal law enforcement.
We need to continue to hold these corporate head folks that benefit and profit out of the hands of immigrants who won't say a damn thing to protect the people that put money in their pockets.
312-642-5600, Turnkey.pro, Interline. Trump is unyielding. ICE is unyielding. And the left in this city and state are unyielding. So something's going to give. And I'm telling you right now, it's not going to be Trump and federal law enforcement. Chris in Rogers Park, you're on Chicago's Morning Answer.
Hey, Dan, here's the problem. They're looking for a George Floyd moment, and they're probably going to get it. Because the strategy is you grab the guy by the nuts, he does something, and something's going to happen much, much worse. And they're going to get their clip, and no one's ever going to know what happened before because they don't see the other side. It's going to happen. That's what they're going for.
Well, I understand, Chris. Thanks for the call. But, this is defund the police redux, isn't it? The same approach they took during the Summer of Love when they were sacking major cities around the country. You remember. Marching around with their African liberation flag, pigs in a blanket, fry them like bacon, antagonizing police. I mean, that happens on a weekend by weekend basis in Chicago. People twerking on police cars and all of the other flouting of the law and of law enforcement, trying to antagonize them, trying to bait them into some George Floyd moment, as you say. Happens all the time. And the way they demonize police by capturing stilted videos and pictures or showing somebody who had been injured, even though, the injury was perfectly their fault, and say, this is evidence of these, police brutality, systemic racism, all of those things. They did the same thing. We've been here before. And they hurt police. And they hurt policing. And they hurt the rule of law in major cities. So I'm not saying it was without impact. It was. It had a negative impact. Look at the desire to work in a major metropolitan police department. Where ICE recruitment is through the roof, military recruitment is through the roof. Not so when it comes to big city police departments. Why? Well, because at the federal level, the civilian political authorities have the back of the military, have the back of ICE, and the men and women know that. And at the major city level, in places like Chicago, the men and women in uniform know the civilian political authorities don't have their back. And they're right about that, too. And the results are the results. Cities are disintegrating, whereas nationally we're rejuvenating ourselves after 4 years of Biden. So, as I say, I'm not. I'm perfectly clear, and I agree with Chris and Rogers Park that that's what they're trying to do, and it will have a negative impact in terms of ICE's ability to do their job, as it's already had. In terms of ICE's standing with half the country, and it's already had. But oh well, there's still half the country, and even some percentage of Illinois that believes in civilization and the rule of law. They don't happen to have much representation in the halls of power in Chicago and Illinois, but that's here and major metropolitan areas around the country. There's all sorts of states that are charting a different course. So, you go for your moment, professional agitators, dare I say insurrectionists, since it's a favorite term, your Antifa types and your Antifa allies. You go for your moment. And the Trump administration will continue to pursue the rule of law and its enforcement. And that's the play. There is no other play, right? They're going for this moment, but what could the response be? Is the response to take your foot off the gas? Is your to say, okay, we're not going to enforce the law anymore now because we don't want to get captured in, we don't want anybody to get baited into doing something that is not intelligent. We don't want anybody to get caught making a bad judgment call. And then we don't want the bad PR. You're going to get the bad PR anyway because these people are not operating in good faith. So that's by the boards. You have to trust people who've been properly trained to exercise wisdom in these high-pressure situations. And by and large, you do. And there are going to be people that make mistakes and consequences for those mistakes. But, I mean, at the end of the day, getting back to first principles, we're either going to have the rule of law or not. And it can't be the rule of law dependent on who does a better job demonizing the law enforcers. Paul and Carrie.
Hey, Dan. Yeah, you just touched on it. I mean, it's jarring, the cliches that these people toss around, that nobody is above the law, yet we're bringing down the law. And only when it's good for you do you want to enforce what's already been in place for years. And barring an assassination on Trump, they better buckle up. What are we in, month 9? I don't know, honeys. You got a little over 3 years left of this, and barring an assassination of Trump, I'm not so sure Vance would not do the same thing. So,
oh yeah. Thanks for the couple. I mean, the whole of administration approach here. The nucleus of this administration, I think, is committed. I don't see any give. Not at all. I mean, I see it. I mean, I don't see things like we talked about the case last week of the father that has been provided temporary stay in his deportation proceedings. Guy who's been here illegally for 20 years. He's got a daughter with stage 4 cancer. He's picked up. He had a nice hearing last week, Thursday. He's returned home. $2,000 bond. He can apply for a hardship case. He can apply as a hardship case for relief because his 16-year-old daughter's battling this terrible disease. That's not giving any by saying, yeah, that makes sense. I don't want that dad separated from his daughter right now either. That doesn't mean that he never has to confront the consequences of the action that he took. That doesn't mean he gets to stay in perpetuity. But right now, with his daughter battling stage 4 cancer, sure, okay. We're humane. We want her to get the best treatment possible. We want the family to be together for this little girl. Yeah, no problem. But that's not giving. That's being reasonable. Because we're coming from a place of reason. So we have the capacity for kindness. The other side doesn't, because they're coming from a place of unreason. I can't say it enough. So that's how it's going to be. And the hue and cry, from the messengers and the organizers, the pros here. I'm not talking about the daffy 60s refugees in Evanston or these neo-Marxist alderhumans that are just reciting lines. I'm talking about the people that actually are thinking about this strategically. They're whipping the frenzy because what Trump is doing is such an existential threat to their strategy of replacing people who have fled big blue states. I mean, let's not forget this is all ultimately about political power because it always is with the left. It's the only thing it's about. The only thing. Oh, we want people to, lower costs of living and higher quality health care. It's about political power. It's the only thing. And this deals a real kill shot to that strategy, what Trump is doing. Real kill shot. Combined with the redistricting that's going on in red states on top of it, you layer that on. This is so devastating to what they're trying to do. It brings the possibility that Trump could survive the midterms without losing the House and Senate, particularly the House, which is, as everyone knows, very tenuous. I mean, Musk said it on Rogan's podcast. I mean, this is not a particularly great insight, but I mean, it's what we all know.
The entire basis for the government shutdown is that the Trump administration correctly does not want to send massive amounts of, hundreds of billions of dollars to fund illegal immigrants in the blue states, or in all the states, really. And so the Democrats want to keep the money spigot going to incent illegal immigrants to come into the U.S. who will vote for them. That's the crux of the battle.
It is. That is the crux of the battle. Yep. Corey Woodlawn.
Thanks for taking the call, Dan. But this is destruction of our country.
We've got a political party pushing their way through every facet of government. They've destroyed the city of Chicago. You can't even recognize the city anymore. And no one wants to take accountability for the jobs that they have in government. Try going to a government office right now and asking for services. They'll laugh in your face. These guys are unhinged, and they're pushing an agenda that's going to destroy this country. And George Washington was right. These political parties would be the death of this country. Someone with a saner head has to get at the helm and steer this car back on the right course.
Thanks, Corey. Dan Proft, Chicago's Morning Answer.
Good morning. It is 42 degrees in Chicago on AM 560, The Answer. I'm Stace Keene in the AM 560 newsroom. Chicago police are investigating a shooting that happened early yesterday morning in the Lakewood neighborhood. According to reports, 4 people were shot after a man got out of a white pickup truck and began firing. All 4 victims were transported to area hospitals for treatment. There are no suspects at this time, and that investigation is continuing. The Illinois Department of Corrections has announced a new pilot program providing phone calls to individuals in custody at correctional facilities statewide. Now, starting today, each individual in custody will receive 775 free domestic phone call minutes, or approximately $6.20 per month to call their loved ones.
I'm running for
the program utilizes a phone dialer application on tablets that have come under scrutiny for delays in scanning inmate mail to prevent contraband for entering eye-docked facilities. News is a service of AlmostFreeTeeth.com. Think full mouth dental implants are too expensive? Think again. Not at AlmostFreeTeeth.com. With medical insurance, you could save thousands and receive your finally affordable dream smile. Check if you qualify today at AlmostFreeTeeth.com. A check of the roads is coming up in 2 minutes on AM 560, The Answer.
Mike Gallagher sees the double standard working again.
They think they can call all of us fascists and Hitlers and Nazis all day long. They can get violent. They can do whatever they want to do. Trump has some fun with an AI video, and they melt down like the Wicked Witch of the West getting a bucket of water dumped on her.
The Mike Gallagher Show, weekdays at 9 on AM 560. The Answer.
When the power goes out, life stops. Heat, AC, fridge, phones, all gone. But with a Generac home standby generator from True Power Generator Service, your home powers back on automatically, so you're never left in the dark. Book your consultation today at TruePowerGenerator.com. That's TruePowerGenerator.com. Plus, 560 listeners get a free 10-year extended warranty. Terms and conditions apply. Call for details. True Power Generator Service and Generac. It's not just a generator, it's a power move.
Ross Shaw talks about building income in retirement.
You know, you can actually structure it in a way that have that $4,000 a month coming in the door every single month. So you don't have to look at the stock ticker and say, oh, the stock market's up today, stock market's down. You still got that $4,000 a month, and having that opportunity to take the vacations and do all the fun things in retirement that you always dreamed to do.
Unleash your wealth, Saturday at 7 a.m. and 2 p.m. on AM 560, The Answer.
The following advertisement includes a celebrity impersonation.
You know, nothing beats the comfort of a perfectly heated home.
And when it comes to heating your home, Air Right Heating and Cooling does it the best.
And they love our country. Beautiful people.
Air Right Heating and Cooling is fast. When your furnace breaks down, they'll fix it right away.
Just like that. Big time results. No waiting around. You get the job done right. And let's face it, who doesn't love being warm, right? It's beautiful. When it's freezing, I crank up that amazing furnace. Burn, baby, burn. Trust me, you'll say, wow, I've never felt this warm in my life.
If you like keeping your hard-earned money, then contact Air Right Heating and Cooling. Tell them AM 560 sent you, and right now you'll receive $56 off any service.
Unbelievable.
Visit Air Right Heating and Cooling today at AIR-RITE.com. Again, that's AIR-RITE.com. Air Right Heating and Cooling. Doing it right since 1959.
Progressive Insurance. See why over 43 million drivers trust Progressive to stay protected on the road. See for yourself at Progressive.com.
Our veterans are our heroes. They answered the call to defend our freedom, putting their lives on the line for our nation. But today, thousands of those brave men and women are facing something no hero should ever face: food insecurity. That's where Farm to Veteran comes in. Through the Fulcrum Farm Foundation, this remarkable organization delivers farm fresh, nutritious food directly to veterans in need through veteran services and organizations. From greenhouse-grown produce to eggs, they're ensuring our heroes have access to the high-quality food they deserve. But Farm to Veteran can't do it alone. They need our help. Your financial contribution directly supports their mission to feed more veterans across their growing network of partner farms nationwide. And there's another way you can make a difference. Join them at their upcoming community events. Visit farmtoveteran.com today. That's veteran.com to donate or learn about events near you. Because those who served our country shouldn't have to wonder where their next meal is coming from. Let's stand with those who stood for us. That's veteran.com.
At Signature Bank, going the distance for business banking customers is what we do every day. We understand that business owners have a strategic mission, a drive to succeed, a plan for growth, and don't have time to wait for a bank to respond. With Signature Bank, you not only have a banking partner that has roots right here in Chicago, but our decisions are made locally too. Signature Bank knows that when you have a question or problem about your business, you want answers. You need someone who will pick up the phone or respond to your text. You need someone who is always there for you. That's Signature Bank. We are a team that wants to get to know you and your business. Want to be Signature Bank's next success story? Give us a call today at 773-467-5630 or visit us online at signaturebank.bank. Member FDIC Equal Housing Lender.
Traffic Center, I'm Sue Aller. The Eisenhower inbound from Wolf to the old post office is 17 minutes. On the outbound side, watch out for a collision on Austin Boulevard. It takes out the left lane. And then you have another accident as you approach the Tri-State. Stop and go on the Dan Ryan on the inbound side into 75th Street, but an accident has just cleared. On the outbound side from the Burn interchange to 95th, that's just 10 minutes. The Stevenson inbound from the Tri-State to Lakeshore is 20, outbound is 15. No delays both ways on the Eden from Montrose to Lake Cook, and the Kennedy inbound from O'Hare to the Burn interchange is 33 minutes, outbound is 36. This report is sponsored by Aleve. Life doesn't wait and neither should you. Aleve can help you deal with pain less throughout your day with just one pill. Aleve lasts up to 12 hours. Don't let those aches and pains hold you back from doing what's important to you. Use as directed. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next, but now a check of your forecast from the National Weather Service.
Today will be sunny to partly cloudy, breezy, and pleasant with a high of 61. Tonight, expect partly cloudy skies with a low of 41. Tomorrow will be partly sunny with a high of 62. Wednesday will bring pleasant conditions with sunshine and some clouds reaching a high of 57. Thursday will have sun peeking through high clouds with a high of 58. I'm meteorologist Jason Caterina on AM 560, The Answer.
Get the latest weather, traffic, and news updates online at 560theanswer.com. Now, from the Signature Bank Studios.
Top of the morning, Dan Proft here. Just a postscript on the conversation we were having before the news. You know, in addition to what was happening while the network affiliate press corps was focused on aging hippies in Evanston protesting and alder humans outside of Home Depot and Belmont Craig neighborhood protesting. Meanwhile, in an underreported story, the Department of Homeland Security announced that an operation that's part of Operation Midway Blitz that was done in conjunction with the Indiana State Police, our neighbors to the east there, civilized state where they have law enforcement and cooperate with law enforcement, revolutionary idea, has resulted in the arrest of 223 illegal aliens on Indiana highways near the Illinois state line, including 146 truck drivers. The criminal activity associated with the 223 arrests: DUI, drug trafficking, theft, burglary, assault, child abuse, domestic battery, prostitution, and fraud. In addition, 40 drivers had been issued illicitly CDLs. The top states, you'd guess them: California, New York, and Illinois. And there are some pictures of the illicit CDLs that were confiscated. So this is 40 40 individuals with phony CDL licenses, 223 people on our roadways. And what happened in California, what happened in Florida, can just as easily happen again in Illinois. So then again, lecture me about public safety and what is and is not a manufactured crisis, Mr. Governor, Mr. Mayor, Mr. Political ruling class in Illinois. All right, moving on to the ongoing developments in our understanding of just how expansive Jack Smith's Arctic frost fishing expedition was. Ted Cruz, senator from Texas, of course, was on with Maria Bartiromo over the weekend, and he went off, and I understand why.
Jack Smith was appointed with one mission: stop Donald Trump. Do not let the American people vote for Trump as president. And he took his orders and launched a dragnet, the scope of which has never been seen. He issued at least 197 subpoenas directed at over 430 individuals and organizations, all Republicans. So he went after the Republican Attorney General's Association. He went after Charlie Kirk and Turning Point USA. He went after Citizens United, and he issued subpoenas to 9 U.S. senators, all Republicans. I was one of them. The subpoena he sent to my cell phone record, AT&T, was for my cell phone records, my voicemails, my texts, the communications in and out, the geolocation. And he sent it to AT&T. As you noted, AT&T did the right thing. Their lawyers looked at this subpoena and said, we can't hand this over. This is protected by the speech and debate clause. However, AT&T also got on top of that subpoena an order signed by Judge Boasberg that ordered AT&T, you cannot let Cruz know about this subpoena because, as you just read, he found as a judicial matter that if I was notified, I would destroy or tamper evidence and tamper with witnesses. Now, that is absolutely absurd. Verizon, unfortunately, did hand over the records of 8 senators. The speech and debate clause did not dissuade them from doing so. And we've now found out those other 8 senators, those subpoenas also came with judicial orders saying you could not tell the senators.
One of those other Republicans that was targeted that Trump mentioned is our next guest. She's Cleta Mitchell, a well-known and respected election attorney in D.C., also the founder of the Election Integrity Network. Cleta, thanks for joining us. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Dan. Thanks for having me.
So you were part of this dragnet that Ted Cruz talked about. I saw from your post on X.
Well, yes. I mean, it's one of the things that it's almost who involved with the Trump campaign or the Republican Party or conservative organizations, the Conservative Partnership Institute, where I'm a senior legal fellow. They really went after us because Mark Meadows who was ultimately indicted and out of this craziness for nothing, for being President Trump's chief of staff. I didn't know that was a criminal activity. But I want to just step back so your listeners understand exactly how this came about. In April of 2022, Christopher Wray authored a memorandum to Attorney General. Christopher Wray, FBI director, authored a memorandum that was directed to Merrick Garland, the Biden regime DOJ Attorney General, and it went through the Deputy Attorney General, Lisa Monaco, or Assistant Attorney General Lisa Monaco, who now works for Microsoft, by the way. Let's remember that part as we go through this.
Of course she does. Yeah.
And said, we need to open an SIM, a sensitive investigative matter. Now, the reason it was called that is because President Trump issued a memorandum in February of 2020 to try to put some guidelines and guardrails around the FBI and the use of the DOJ and the FBI to investigate political figures because of what he'd been through at their hands in 2016, in 2015 and 16. So there are these guardrails. There are already FBI procedures in order to open any investigation. There has to be what I call a predication, which is a criminal act that is about to happen, that has happened or is about to happen, a criminal act. And then there was this memo in February of 2020 saying, in addition, open an investigation. If it involves certain high-level political figures, then there are these additional guardrails to try to keep, and these were put in place to try to protect against using the power of the government to go after your political opposition. Well, boy, they just ran a Mack truck right through all of those safeguards. There were no safeguards. But here's what you need to know. They opened in April of 2022 this SIM, this sensitive investigative matter, and it was confined to, it was pretty broad, but still, the electors, the Trump electors who met and sent alternative certifications for the presidential electors in December of 2020. Now, that is now 2 years earlier, but they are opening this investigation. And that was the justification for opening all of that. And it happened, so Merrick Garland signed that within 2 weeks. You cannot tell me that that wasn't approved and discussed at the highest level of the White House and the DOJ. We know that because we have those three top DOJ attorneys and FBI director. And they took that and they expanded it to include the broadest possible dragnet. They listed me, when Senator Cruz talks about those 197 subpoenas, I've read them. Well, some of the subpoenas had 15 or 20 people listed on them. And they got things like, they got my credit report. Now, you want to tell me what Cleta Mitchell's credit reports from 3 different credit reporting agencies had to do with the events that happened in December of 2020 with regard to President Trump's electors meeting and signing contingent election certificates. And the reason they did that is because of a federal court decision in 1960, in the 1960 presidential election, when Richard Nixon carried Hawaii and was announced as the winner of the Hawaii electoral vote. The Kennedy campaign sued in federal court and presented evidence of irregularities, won the case, but in the meanwhile, while that case was pending, the Kennedy lawyers had the Kennedy electors meet and sign contingent elector certificates and sent those to Washington. And the judge in that case said that had they not done that, then even though Kennedy had won his election contest, it would have been meaningless because there would be no electors from Hawaii that could be counted at all. That's what all of those electors did. And from that,
it was a contingency.
That's right. And they knew that. I mean, I'm telling you what, the Department of Justice, they knew that. In Georgia, they had a court reporter at the meeting who recorded that they were meeting solely for the purpose of preserving the President Trump's rights, because we in Georgia had an election contest pending that we had filed on December the 4th. They met to preserve President Trump's electors in the event we won our election contest. That's what they all did in those states.
And something
that's
else.
It all started.
Something else, too. I mean, just in terms of them, decimating the guardrails and essentially taking an ends justify the means approach to these investigations, starting with Jack Smith. But as you say, the entire Biden administration, the entire senior leadership of the Biden administration, including the director of the FBI, including the attorney general. I love this example because it speaks to the mentality or the approach that was taken, the choice that was made. And it's the anecdote that you pulled from the Arctic Frost documents that were released last week about the FBI's interviewing a Republican Party chairman in Pennsylvania.
Right. Well, they showed up at his house. This is another thing. Everyone who's listening to me, I cannot tell you how important this is. I've told many, many clients and people this for many years. The FBI has a habit of showing up early in the morning or late at night at your house. 2 of them, there's 1 of you. They want to catch you off guard, and they want to surprise you. They showed up. I know this because it says it. They got there at 7:20 a.m. And the chairman is an attorney, and he told them that he didn't want to talk to them without his attorney present. And I would tell everybody, never, ever, ever talk to the FBI without your attorney present. Even if you don't have an attorney, you get one. You tell them, thank you, give me your card. I'll give it to my attorney. We will arrange an interview. That's the way you handle that. That's what he said. Well, what he didn't know was that he let them in, and I don't know how long this interview went on, but they said in the report that they surreptitiously, secretly, they said, we secretly recorded our conversation with him. Well, that's, Pennsylvania is a 2-party consent state. And in other words, it is illegal under Pennsylvania law, and this was in Pennsylvania. It's illegal under Pennsylvania law to record anyone without their knowledge and consent. And they didn't do that. But it is they are so lawless, and they have no respect for the law. They were going to go out and they were going to interview all these people around the country and see if they could concoct some sort of criminal violation. That's what they were about doing.
So you know the question that everybody has, which is, as this evidence continues to pile up, the question that's always asked is there anything that we know now that we didn't previously, even just before last week, that suggests to you as an attorney that there is potential legal exposure for Jack Smith, for Chris Wray? That's people want to know, is there going to be a reckoning for these bad actors? And your response is what?
Well, I think we're going to find that Chris Wray lied to Congress. I think that's going to be pretty clear. But here's the other thing. It's hard to know about that, Dan. It's really hard to know. I mean, they manage to concoct crimes out of whole cloth. Our people don't work that way. And what I want is I want everybody who is at the highest levels of the Department of Justice, and I want them to have the same fervor that President Trump has about these things. I don't want them to be bureaucratic. One of the things that I'm advocating for, it's pretty clear to me that this whole electors, that whole basis of opening the Arctic Frost investigation was the electors. And at some point, Jack Smith figured out that they did not have the time to both get President Trump to trial in D.C. and to get all of these electors into trial in D.C. And so I believe that as we keep researching, we're going to find that it was the Department of Justice instigating getting those charges brought at the state level instead of in D.C., because one of the things in this memo, opening the memo, it says the venue, this is for the electors, the venue is Washington, D.C., that even though these events took place in the states, the venue is Washington, D.C., because that's where the impact was because of the federal action. And so I think that what we're going to find is there was a conspiracy to bring charges against these people in state court. And let me tell you something. They're still under indictment as we speak this morning.
Well, that's where I was going to go. So if you can't, potentially can't get to Chris Wray, Jack Smith, and others who were bad actors, what about providing relief to those people who were unfairly and maybe even illegally targeted, people who have had to spend untold hundreds of thousands, millions on legal fees, people who have been disbarred, people who are under indictment currently, relief for them?
Well, that is. I will send you. It should be published today. I've written an article on that very subject for the Federalist. I believe President Trump can pardon each and every one of these people, because I believe that the evidence shows that they were acting as proxies for the Department of Justice. That these state AGs. Remember this. These are Democrat AGs in Arizona. This Democrat Chris Mays, who really didn't win her election, but that was an election fraud situation. But she's the Democratic AG of Arizona, the Democrat AG of Wisconsin, Josh Kaul, the Democrat AG in Michigan, Dana Nessel, and the Democrat in Nevada, Aaron Ford, who twice in 2023 said publicly, there are no state statutes under which I could prosecute these electors. And then in December of 2023, he filed charges against them. And then, of course, we all know about the disgraced Fani Willis in Atlanta. And we know that she had meetings at the White House before she brought the charges against President Trump. And I will tell you this, I want everybody to have this in their minds. You know, President Trump's official White House portrait is his mugshot. Everybody know that? You know that?
Yeah.
Well, let me tell you something. We think of that and we think that's kind of funny. But honestly, as I was struck by that, as I was reading all of this and writing the article for the Federalist, I thought, you know what? Once again, he sees things, he understands things. That mugshot that has now become his official portrait, it says everything about what happened and how it turned out in terms of his victory over them. And I think that, you know, he just has a sense of this. It's a very meaningful, historic, but really emblematic of what the Biden regime did, what they tried to do, and then the mugshot becomes the official White House portrait of the 47th president. But I believe that he can, and under the law, that electors are they're federal positions. These are not state positions. And all of these indictments in all these states were brought and tied to the electors. So I'm hoping that the president will pardon every one of them. And I hope the DOJ will issue a writ of habeas corpus for Tina Peters. There's there are things the DOJ can do, and they need to move and do those things.
Cleta Mitchell, well-regarded election attorney and founder of the Election Integrity Network. Cleta, thanks so much for your time. As always, appreciate it.
Thank you for having me, Dan.
And Cleta joined us on the Turnkey.Pro answer line.
It's like a hot, steaming cup of information to start your day. It's Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
I love giving jewelry as a gift. Roland's Jewelers is the perfect place for that magical holiday gift. Hi, it's Mike Gallagher. Roland's Jewelers is the absolute perfect place for the magical holiday gift for someone you love. Buying jewelry is about trust. Roland's is the jeweler I trust. I'm a customer, and I'm always amazed by their 5-star Google reviews, so many of them, but why not? They're the best. They're family-owned. Hey, getting engaged? Roland's has a large selection of mined and lab-grown diamonds at great prices. Choose from beautifully crafted engagement rings from designer Simon G. or Italian designer Roberto Coin, offering stunning diamond pendants and earrings. How about a Tag Heuer watch with cutting-edge technology? I love mine from Roland's. I continue to be impressed at how expertly trained their staff is. Visit Roland's Jewelers in downtown Libertyville or RolandsJewelers.com. That's Roland's, ROLLANDS, Roland's Jewelers, a family-owned jeweler you can trust, just like I do.
Sean Thompson here, and I'm with attorney Bert Hochberg from the law firm of Schiller, Ducanto, and Fleck. We're talking about divorce arbitration. This is not really a new, or is it a new, innovative way to go through divorce?
Arbitration has been around for decades. It's completely legit and available to resolve divorce cases. The litigants and their lawyers sign an arbitration agreement. They identify what the issues are, and we set up dates, and we determine what experts and witnesses there may be. Arbitration is a hearing, a trial that is intended to finish a case efficiently with limited appeal, with a binding decision, and it's confidential, so it has some great characteristics.
I think it's a unique alternative to divorce. For more information, please visit sdflaw.com and type Bert Hochberg into the search box. That's sdflaw.com or call direct 773-255-6150.
I've worn the uniform. I have stood beneath our flag, and I have fought for what it stands for. I'm Megan Terry, and I serve in the U.S. Army. At Collins Flags, that feeling of pride goes into every single stitch because they're made right here in the USA by folks just like me. This Veterans Day, show your love for the men and women who serve. Fly a Collins, American, or military flag with honor. Buy yours at collinsflags.com today. That's collinsflags.com. American made, proudly waved.
Here's the tale of the daily Medfill. Same old pharmacy, same old bill, but those prices kept rising higher still.
Till the savings wrangler rode in, cool as can be. Tap GoodRx, saving massively.
No plan? Don't matter none. Up to 80% off. Deals are done.
Discounts hitting harder than Ma's chili. Dang. That one little app does all the rest.
Save time and money on prescriptions.
Check GoodRx. GoodRx is not insurance.
AM 560. The Answer.
By the way, Trump answered the question about the prosecutions of the Boltons and the Comeys of the world being political retribution. And that 60 Minutes sit down, we'll get to that a little bit later in the program. Coming up at 7:07, our weekly conversation with Heritage Foundation's Stephen Bucci. Tomahawks to Ukraine, ? War in Venezuela, ? Troops on the ground to prevent genocide of Christians in Nigeria, ? Lot of question marks, including nuclear testing. All were part of discussions Trump had both on 60 Minutes and Air Force One over the weekend. A lot to pour over with Stephen Bucci. We'll do it at 7:07. It's now 7 o'clock on AM 560 WIND Chicago.
Obama takes on Trump. I'm Therese Crowley, Fox News. With 3 local elections gaining national attention, Democrats trying to turn them into a referendum on Donald Trump. Former President Obama on the campaign trail in New Jersey and Virginia, claiming the country is in a pretty dark place right now. And in the New York City mayor's race, President Trump tells CBS 60 Minutes that if it's a choice between a bad Democrat and a communist, I'm going to pick the bad Democrat all the time. Election day tomorrow after a rousing weekend of early voting.
Voters in New Jersey and Virginia elect new governors on Tuesday, 2 races that have attracted National Party leaders to the campaign trail. Fox News polling last week shows Democrats in both races leading their Republican opponents. The economy, immigration, energy cost, and health care are dominant issues. New York City residents are also electing a new mayor in a race that has energized progressives. 34-year-old Democratic Socialist Zohran Mamdani holds a commanding double-digit lead in polling against former Governor Andrew Cuomo, who failed to win the Democratic nomination in this year's primary election. In Washington, Jared Halpern, Fox News.
Another weekend U.S. military strike on a narco-terror drug boat. Fox's Alexandria Hall.
Trump administration's position is that cartel strikes do not fall under the War Powers Resolution because troops are not being sent into hostilities. Within the resolution, hostilities is kind of vague. It's been interpreted differently in the past, but the action, it did kill 3 men who Secretary Hegseth described as narco-terrorists carrying illicit drugs to the U.S. He added a promise in his post. The department will treat them exactly how we treated al-Qaeda. We will continue to track them, map them, hunt them, and kill them.
Another controversial Trump policy hits the Supreme Court this week. The High Court hears oral arguments on whether President Trump had the power to impose sweeping global tariffs. President Trump tells reporters it's also national security.
Good morning. It is 43 degrees here in Chicago on AM 560, The Answer. I'm Stace Keene in the AM 560 newsroom. A man's body has been pulled from the south branch of the Chicago River this morning. CBS News in Chicago is reporting the Chicago Police Marine Unit responded to the call just after midnight. The identity of the victim or circumstances surrounding the incidents have yet to be released. Despite ongoing issues at the Illinois Department of Corrections, state senators have approved the nomination of Acting Director LaToya Hughes to stay in charge with a 6-figure salary. Jim Talamonte has more.
The Illinois Senate voted 31-21 in favor of Hughes on the second to last day of fall veto session Wednesday. State Senator Steve McClure said record numbers of inmates and guards are being attacked in prison, a record number of weapons are being sneaked in, and a record number of drugs are being found. State Senator Jason Plummer said Hughes could not tell the Executive Appointments Committee how many IDOC inmates died in the last year or even the last month.
You would think if you're in a position of that magnitude, you could tell us how many people have died in your care and your custody. It's embarrassing, tragic, and immoral, the number of people who are serving their sentences in the state of Illinois that are being harmed and being killed.
And Chicago police are asking for your help in locating a missing teen. CPD says 14-year-old Isabel Ruiz was last seen on Friday in the 7300 block of South Kedzie Avenue. She was last seen wearing a white angel costume. Police say she may be frequenting the area near and around the 3700 block of West 67 Place. If you've seen the teenager or have any information, you're asked to contact Area 1 detectives by calling 911. News is a service of AlmostFreeTeeth.com. Think full mouth dental implants are too expensive? Think again, not at AlmostFreeTeeth.com. With medical insurance, you could save thousands and receive your finally affordable dream smile. Check if you qualify today at AlmostFreeTeeth.com. A check of the roads is coming up in 2 minutes on AM 560, The Answer.
Get your tickets for Freedom Summit Chicago 2025, happening on Saturday, November 8th at Westin Chicago Northwest and Itasca. This year, featuring Dr. Ben Carson, Scott Jennings, Mike Gallagher, along with Dan Proft, Sean Thompson, John Anthony, and many more. This event will sell out fast, so get your tickets today at freedomsummitchicago.com. That's freedomsummitchicago.com. Sponsored in part by Quick Delivery Service Incorporated and by Virago.
We all know the importance of good daily habits, whether it's getting your steps in, stretching those limbs, or eating right. Doing it on the regular is key. That's why if you're dealing with everyday aches and pain, it's time to bring Relief Factor into your routine. Relief Factor is a daily supplement that fights pain naturally. Developed by doctors, Relief Factor uses a special formula of 4 natural ingredients. Relief Factor doesn't just mask pain, it helps reduce or even eliminate it. In fact, the longer you take it, the more effective it is. So call 1-800-4-RELIEF and try their 3-week quick start for only $19.95. That's less than $1 a day. Simply call 1-800-4-RELIEF. That's 1-800-4-RELIEF. Wherever you're having pain, don't let it keep you from living the life you want. Make Relief Factor part of your daily routine. Go to ReliefFactor.com or call 1-800-4-RELIEF. That's 1-800-4-RELIEF.
This past year has been one of the hardest in MyPillow's history. It's because of you that they are making it through. They want to thank you for your continued support by extending their wholesale prices on classic MyPillows. Get standard classic MyPillows for only $14.98. It gets even better. Upgrade to a queen-size MyPillow for just $18.98. King size only $1 more, or multi-use pillows for only $9.98. Get body pillows for $29.98 with a free pillowcase. So go to MyPillow.com or call 800-489-0201 and use promo code LIBERTY to take advantage of these wholesale prices, including the standard size MyPillow, originally $49.98, now only $14.98. Queens $18.98, Kings only $1 more. That's 800-489-0201 and use promo code LIBERTY. Order $100 or more and your order ships absolutely free. We know MyPillow products come with a 10-year warranty, but MyPillow has just announced that they are extending their 60-day money-back guarantee. That's right. Orders placed between now and December 25th will have their 60-day money-back guarantee extended through March 1st, 2026.
When it comes to buying, selling, and investing in real estate, experience matters. Communication matters. Results matter. That's why you should call Tom Cunningham. Tom is a licensed real estate broker with eXp Realty with 25 years in the business. Clients trust Tom for his expertise, doing what he says, sometimes more, and making real estate simple again. He'll make your number one goal his number one goal, listening to your needs and bringing you excellent investment opportunities. Tom Cunningham lives by the Get by Giving philosophy, working hard toward a common good. For more, visit TomCRealty.com or call or text for a meeting, 708-369-7625. Remember, experience matters when it comes to buying, selling, and investing in real estate. Get the expertise of Tom Cunningham, eXp Realty. That's 708-369-7625, TomCRealty.com. Happy Days Cunningham makes sure you have the results you're looking for.
Hi, I'm Ken Mariotti, owner of Woodland Windows and Doors, a third-generation family-owned business since 1969. We know you're bombarded by choices when shopping for new windows or doors, so we're inviting you to experience the Woodland difference. For decades, we have been transforming living spaces with Marvin Windows, a fifth-generation family business. Marvin replacement windows have been known to increase the warmth of your cold rooms by 10 degrees. Think about that, 10 degrees warmer. When you welcome Woodland into your home, you will get a product expert to transform your living spaces full-time, dedicated professional installers that you can trust in your home, along with the best products like Marvin. These are the reasons we're proud of our 5-star reviews and family legacy. No gimmicks, no pressure, and upfront pricing are why Woodland Windows and Doors is your trusted window and door expert in Chicagoland. Visit woodlandwindows.com to book your free in-home expert consultation. That's woodlandwindows.com, or stop by our showroom at the corner of Lake and Geary in Roselle.
Center, I'm Sue Aller. Getting busy on the Eden from Lake Cook to Montrose, 27 minutes. Outbound is 15. The Kennedy slammed inbound from O'Hare to the Byrne interchange, 60 minutes. That is a 40-minute delay. Outbound is 47 minutes. The Eisenhower inbound from Wolf to the old post office is 27 minutes. Outbound is 26, but then you are stop and go as you make your way towards the Tri-State with a collision on that outbound side. And then on the Tri-State, northbound at Cermak Road, there's an accident and the delays begin right at the Stevenson. Now, inbound Stevenson slows down from the Tri-State to Lakeshore. That's 32 minutes. Outbound is 22. The Dan Ryan inbound from 95th to the Byrne interchange is 22 minutes. Outbound looks good at 11. Traffic is a service of Turnkey. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next, but now a check of your forecast from the National Weather Service.
Today will be sunny to partly cloudy, breezy, and pleasant with a high of 61. Tonight, expect partly cloudy skies with a low of 41. Tomorrow will be partly sunny with a high of 62. Wednesday will bring pleasant conditions with sunshine and some clouds reaching a high of 57. Thursday will have sun peeking through high clouds with a high of 58. I'm meteorologist Jason Caterina on AM 560, The Answer.
Get the latest weather, traffic, and news updates online at 560theanswer.com. Now, from the Signature Bank Studios. This is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft on AM 560. The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan Proft here. So in his sit down with Norah O'Donnell, 60 Minutes, Trump was asked about nuclear testing. This came out of his meet with Xi and his assessment of Putin, watching what the Russians are doing, that while he favors denuclearization, reducing the nuclear stockpiles of the nuclear powers, including the United States, he wants to make sure our stuff works, too. Maybe he saw House of Dynamite on Netflix and is concerned about being put in the same position Idris Elba was. Anyway, here's what he said to O'Donnell.
We have more nuclear weapons than any other country, and I think we should do something about denuclearization. And I did actually discuss that with both President Putin and President Xi. We have enough nuclear weapons to blow up the world 150 times. Russia has a lot of nuclear weapons, and China will have a lot. They have some. They have quite a bit. But
so why do we need to test our nuclear weapons?
Well, because you have to see how they work. You know, you do have to. And the reason I'm saying testing is because Russia announced that they were going to be doing a test. If you notice, North Korea is testing constantly. Other countries are testing. We're the only country that doesn't test, and I don't want to be the only country that doesn't test.
Are you saying that after more than 30 years, the United States is going to start detonating nuclear weapons?
I'm saying that we're going to test nuclear weapons like other countries do, yes.
But the only country that's testing nuclear weapons is North Korea.
Well,
China and Russia.
No, Russia's testing nuclear weapons.
My understanding...
And China's testing them too, you just don't know about it.
That would be certainly very newsworthy. My understanding is what Russia did recently was test essentially the delivery systems for nuclear weapons, essentially missiles, which we can do that, but not with nuclear weapons.
Russia's testing and China's testing, but they don't talk about it. You know, we're a open society. We're different. We talk about it. We have to talk about it because otherwise you people are going to report. They don't have reporters that are going to be writing about it. We do.
Energy Secretary Chris Wright later said, no mushroom clouds quite yet. We're talking about the sort of launch infrastructure. We're not talking necessarily about weapons testing, Los Alamos style. Anyway, for more on this topic and many others, we have a lot to get to. Stephen Bucci joins us for our weekly conversation. Bucci served America for 3 decades as an Army Special Forces officer and top Pentagon official, now a visiting fellow in the Heritage Foundation's Allison Center for Foreign Policy Studies. Stephen, thanks for being with us.
It's always great to be on the show. Thanks for having me back, man.
So nuclear testing, the Russians are doing it, the Chinese communists are doing it, so the North Koreans are doing it to a lesser extent in terms of concern based on strike capacity. But so we should be. What do you say?
It's been a long time since we've tested our stuff, and it's probably wise to make sure it's all still functioning correctly, to see what improvements have been made with different things. Look, people need to understand when they say nuclear test, they don't mean the mushroom cloud out in the middle of the desert at Los Alamos or in Nevada test site. They're talking about underground tests, generally using sub-size devices. They're test vehicles. They're not like setting off a bazillion kiloton bomb under the ground. They're not doing the major devices. They're looking at the pieces of these things. It's done very well, very scientifically, and very safely. I could hear Nora, you're going to set off nuclear bombs in the earth again.
Yeah.
No,
right.
This is not 1944 anymore. We have methods to do this. We have deep underground test facilities that already exist, that have never been completely closed down, and that we can use to test through little tiny tubes where all of the blast effect goes down this tube to test how when it hits a radio, whether the radio still works. They can do tests like that. All of that is nuclear testing. So everybody should take a breath and realize it's stupid not to test.
Well, I mean, I honestly think, too, just given the nature of our culture, I honestly think that this being concurrent with the new Netflix film I just mentioned, House of Dynamite, I think it probably whips certain people that are inclined to hysteria, that are probably still wearing masks, to hysteria on top of it anyway. You didn't see that film, did you?
No, I did not.
You have better things to do. I get it, but the whole thing about it is so funny to me, because the whole point of MAD, mutually assured destruction, and survivable second strike capabilities is to eliminate first strike advantage. So the premise of the movie is about first strike, and we don't know. There's a missile headed towards Chicago, nuclear warhead headed for Chicago. And I don't mean like in Kentucky Fried Movie, film at 11. I mean, it's like it's headed for Chicago. And so, but we don't know if it was the Russians or the Chinese communists or the North Koreans. And so there's this mad dash and the typical sort of Hollywood sophistry. But the whole premise of it belies the reality that we operate in now. And that's fine. Hollywood could dramatize. I'm just saying MAD and second strike capabilities eliminate the whole premise of the movie, which is that you have some advantage you have some first strike advantage, which you don't.
Yeah. And we have detection things. We're watching these people all the time for any indication of the preparation for, and for sure, the launch of any sort of device. If somebody shoots a nuclear missile at us, we're going to know who did it. They make
good to know.
Signatures when they're up there, and we can shoot them down. So this is ridiculous hysteria. The whole point of being really powerfully nuclear capable is the other morons don't shoot at you, because they know what's going to happen when they do.
Trump also opined on Venezuela, since there's movement and also a movement of military assets, and also a report in the Miami Herald on Friday that the administration has decided, quote, to attack military installations inside Venezuela, and the strikes could come at any moment. So he was asked about war in our hemisphere, and Trump said this.
Are we going to war against Venezuela?
I doubt it. I don't think so, but they've been treating us very badly, not only on drugs. They've dumped hundreds of thousands of people into our country that we didn't want. People from prisons, they emptied their prisons into our country. They also, if you take a look, they emptied their mental institutions and their insane asylums into the United States of America, because Joe Biden was the worst president in the history of our country.
So, Tulsi Gabbard, DNI, was quick to say this is an administration that put an end to regime change, but it sounds like Trump wouldn't be sad if there was regime change in Venezuela, and maybe he's trying to foment it with additional kinetic pressure.
Kinetic pressure, or just the signaling pressure. If you tell people you're coming at them and you're flitting around at the fringes, that puts a lot of pressure on a regime. In some cases, from their own military guys who are probably sitting there going, I don't care what we tell the boss. We know we can't go fight the Americans. This is crazy. We're not suicidal. What do they think? We're, Islamist Muslims? And that could be the thing that pushes Maduro out. Look, President Trump loves to send signals and to disrupt the thought process of his opponents. He does stuff like this all the time. It doesn't mean he's already decided we're going to war tomorrow. The news people who portray themselves as so sophisticated and forward-thinking are a bunch of loons when it comes to this. They just get panicked at the slightest signal, and President Trump's been around for a while. Why are they not getting used to how this man operates and not getting panicky every time he does? I guess if it's working on the press, it's working on the bad guys too. But it's laughable to watch this. Nora O'Donnell's been a Washington reporter for a long time. She used to be on the airplanes with us when we went places with Secretary Rumsfeld. She was always pretty reasonable whenever we did that stuff. Now, apparently, I guess her editorial board has told her, no, go out there and sound breathless and panicky. It'll be good news. I just can't believe she was really, you're going to do what? Oh, my gosh, this is terrible. Unless she's suddenly got some dementia coming in, because she was never like that before.
Well, I mean, the report in the Miami Herald about military installations, what if it's something a little bit more sophisticated than that? Mary Anastasia O'Grady, writing in the Wall Street Journal about Maduro and how to get to him if you're really trying to foment internal revolt that would depose him. And she talks specifically about the General Directorate of Military Counterintelligence in Venezuela, which is the repressive arm of Maduro's military that makes sure that if there's even a whiff of disloyalty, much less some sort of coup attempt, that anybody moving in that direction, basically is summarily imprisoned, tortured, executed. And so if you really want to weaken Maduro and set him up for a potential coup, then you got to get to the DGCIM first.
Yeah, that's exactly right. That is how you normally go after a dictatorial regime, is you find the pieces of their system that are holding them up most effectively, and you knock those out first. It's like going after the IRGC Quds Force, killing Soleimani under the first Trump administration when we were trying to weaken the Iranians. That's their arm of repression. That's who you have to go after and put the fear of God into. So, yeah, I would agree with her. That's exactly the folks you should target. I don't think he's going to go out there and try and bomb, Venezuelan tank units, which they have a couple of, which is odd in the topography they have, but they have tanks. And why would we target those ahead of time? They're not a threat to anybody unless you want to invade the country, which I can't believe we want to do. Mm-hmm. We want them to stop doing the bad behavior they're doing. So who do you go after? The drugs, which we started to do. They're talking about targeting drug facilities in the country, and I'm assuming that the folks like their intel guys who are helping them pull this stuff off. That will choke off the money. That will put the pressure on Maduro, and hopefully the Venezuelan people can rise up. Because I can tell you, I have friends in Venezuela that go back and forth One of them's my classmate from West Point, and they say it's not good there. The people are under incredible repression. This is not some socialist paradise, like maybe Mr. Mondami thinks, but it's a horrible place right now. And if we can help them get rid of that government, that would be a good thing. I don't think we should go in and topple a government directly, and because that goes back to the Colin Powell rule that if you break it, you buy it. We don't want it to be our responsibility, but they're causing problems. We need to deter them from doing what they've been doing.
Moving over to Eastern Europe, Trump on Air Force One over the weekend was asked about Tomahawks for the Ukrainians, and he seemed to take a step back, that this is up to Europe and Ukraine to deal with Russia at this point, and he's not inclined to provide those long-range missiles at present. Take a listen.
Totally different question than Nigeria.
Yes, right? different.
That was quite a turn. I'm not doing that. What happens is, I guess Europe and Russia are having discussions. I'm not involved in those discussions.
Will your administration provide Ukraine with long-range Tomahawk missiles? Is that something that you're not considering that?
No, not really.
Mr. President, on Friday, the final
that could change, but at this moment, I'm not.
What's your read on that seeming move away from Zelensky after the conversation they had last time he was in the White House the other week?
I'm not sure. Obviously, someone has brought some new data in front of the president for him to adjust the position he was in, or that he seemed to be taking, that he was ready to provide those missiles. There's been people talking about the stockpiles. I can't believe we're totally running out of Tomahawks, but that is an issue to consider. I don't know what other actions he's planning on taking against the Venezuelan infrastructure that might require us to use Tomahawks. That may have something to do about it. I know a lot of people are saying, well, we got to save them for China. I have a feeling those are already fenced off and were never on the board to take from the PACOM elements and start to move towards Ukraine. So I don't know what that change in data is or was, but clearly something was added to the mix that caused the president to change his position. He changes positions probably more than any president we've ever had, not in a feckless way, but he is not afraid to say, oh, yeah, I know I said that last week, but this is the truth now.
Well,
and
yeah,
that's different than most of his predecessors in the office.
I wanted to also get to Nigeria. I've been meaning to get to this for a while now, and it's now on the president's radar. He spoke to it over the weekend, and frankly, he indicated the possibility of troops in Nigeria. Here's what he said.
Just wanted to ask you, do you envisage U.S. boots on the ground or airstrikes?
Could be. I mean, a lot of things I envisage, a lot of things. They're killing record numbers of Christians in Nigeria. And they have other countries very bad also. You know that part of the world, very bad. They're killing the Christians and killing them in very large numbers. We're not going to allow that.
About 125,000 Christians since 2009 slaughtered in Nigeria, and that so then it's going on elsewhere, as he mentioned, including the Congo. Representative Riley Moore, he's a congressman from West Virginia, was on Laura Ingram's show to talk about Nigeria, and this is what he said, and at minimum, what he would like to see from the president.
Well, let me speak specifically to Nigeria. This is why I've requested for Nigeria to be designated a country of particular concern, which Trump had done in his first administration. But of course, the Biden administration took that designation off because they claimed the killing had more to do with land disputes that were started because of climate change. Hard to believe, but that's what they had claimed in this. So we're asking for this designation to get put back on because it actually made a difference in slowing down and stopping killings in this region. But we have to do something to stop this. as a Christian, as a Catholic. Our brothers and sisters in Christ right now are being martyred every day in Nigeria for the profession of their faith in our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ. The government is the one who's propagating propaganda in this. This has been going on since 2009. There's in between 50,000 and 100,000 Christians have been murdered. Just this year, 7,000 alone. That's 35 a day. And this claim of ethnic conflict is totally bogus. It is 5-to-1 Christians being killed as opposed to other religions in Nigeria right now. This is a genocide that's happening, and we have to stand up and we have to speak out to stop this.
So, Stephen Bucci, it's always complicated using the military for humanitarian missions. We saw this in places like Mogadishu. But what do you say about what Trump had to say, even indicating the possibility of troops to stop this genocide?
That's a tough one. You could use, air forces of various sorts to go after the Al-Shabaab camps and some of the other things that are, places you can go and hit, whether the government wants to help you or not. But to bring in any sort of ground troops, even special operators, to perhaps work with people, you got to have somebody to work with. So that means the government forces have to say, yeah, come in, help us to be better at fighting Al-Shabaab. The problem is that the government is seemingly complicit in some of this.
Yeah.
The government is predominantly Muslim in their orientation and are not stopping the attacks on the Christian communities. So, going in and working with their military might not be a good fit because they seem to be part of the problem, or at least they're ignoring the problem and not choosing not to address it. So unless the government's going to take a different tack on this and say, okay, we'll go after these guys, but we need some help with you guys to train us and make us better at it, that's useful. Nigeria has an enormous military, but it is primarily only ever been used for peacekeeping around the world. It's kind of an income stream for the government. So their capability to fight, really radical, hardcore folks like Al-Shabaab is dubious, even if they wanted to. So that would be one thing we could do if they wanted to change their position. But I'm not seeing any indication of that.
Well,
the leadership seems to be just defensive of that. Oh, no, there's nothing to see here.
Yeah, although it was interesting, the Nigerian president, of course, getting wind of this, said, yeah, I'd like to talk to Trump. I bet you would. So at least he's got their attention, and, maybe he can move them into a more constructive position vis-a-vis protecting Christians with the threat of what Trump might do.
Yeah.
Stephen Bucci served America for 3 decades as an Army Special Forces officer, top Pentagon official, now a visiting fellow in the Heritage Foundation's Allison Center for Foreign Policy Studies. Stephen, we covered a lot of ground. Thank you so much, as always.
It's my pleasure. Thanks for having me, and we'll talk to you next time.
All right, and Stephen joined us on the Turnkey.pro answer line. Coming up.
Good morning. It is 44 degrees in Chicago on AM 560, The Answer. I'm Stace Keene in the AM 560 newsroom. Chicago police are investigating a shooting that took place early yesterday morning in the Lakewood neighborhood. According to reports, 4 people were shot after a man got out of a white pickup truck and began firing. All 4 victims were transported to area hospitals for treatment. There are no suspects at this time, and the investigation is continuing. Chicago police are asking for your assistance in locating a missing teen. 16-year-old Hope Watson is described as being 5'2" and 150 pounds. She's African-American with brown hair and brown eyes. She was last seen in the area of the 2300 block of South Whipple. She was last seen wearing jeans, a shirt with the character Chucky on it, and a hat. If you have any information, you're asked to contact the Area 4 SVU at 312-746-8251 or dial 911. News is a service of AlmostFreeTeeth.com. Think full mouth dental implants are too expensive? Think again. Not at AlmostFreeTeeth.com. With medical insurance, you could save thousands and receive your finally affordable dream smile. Check if you qualify today at AlmostFreeTeeth.com. A check of your roads is coming up in 2 minutes on AM 560, The Answer.
Mike Gallagher sees a party in free fall.
Eric Swalwell now says that he wants a pledge from any 2028 Democrat presidential candidate that he or she will promise to demolish Trump's ballroom. I'm not making this up. Let's just stipulate that the Democrats are in a free fall right now.
The Mike Gallagher Show, weekdays at 9 on AM 560. The Answer.
Hey, it's Scott Tucker, and I'm here with
Amy Jacobson
from Retirement Dakota with Scott Tucker and Amy Jacobson here on AM 560, The Answer. Now, I'm a financial advisor, and Amy's the co-host for our program. You know, Amy, recently President Trump signed the One Big Beautiful Bill Act. A lot of folks aren't realizing, Amy, that if they have highly appreciated assets, they can potentially tax defer the capital gains tax, place that money into a qualified opportunity fund, and then 10 years from now, get back out of that investment and pay no capital gains tax on either investment. Have you heard of such a thing, Amy?
I did not know about that. That seemed to be hidden in the bill.
It's only 900 some pages.
Yeah,
we have to pass it to see what's in it.
An easy beach read, yes.
Yes. And now there's another thing in the bill as well, Amy. Section 1202. Amy, did you read Section 1202?
I did not, but thank you for the homework assignment.
If you're a small business owner, many small business owners can now sell their small business and potentially pay no federal capital gains taxes on that capital gain of selling their business.
Wow.
If you'd like to get a free copy of my latest book, Escape Illinois, Should I Stay or Should I Go? Text the keyword book. That's BOOK to 224-496-3999. Text the keyword book to 224-496-3999. In addition to a free copy of my latest book, Escape Illinois, Should I Stay or Should I Go? You'll also get our entire Retirement Decoded toolkit. We'll also give you the opportunity to talk to us 15 minutes for free over the telephone at another time so we can go through the One Big Beautiful Bill Act with you, show you how to potentially sell your highly appreciated assets and pay no federal capital gains tax, how qualified opportunity funds work, and also if you're a small business owner, how to potentially pay no capital gains on the sale of your small business through Section 1202, the One Big Beautiful Bill Act. Text book to 224-496-3999 or call that very same number, 224-496-3999.
Investment advisory services made available through AE Wealth Management, LLC, a registered investment advisor. Firm does not offer tax advice.
Progressive Insurance. Not only does Progressive let you bundle your insurance, they also give you round-the-clock protection. Quote today at Progressive.com.
Taking a look at the roads from the Team Hochberg Traffic Center, I'm Sue Aller. The Kennedy stop-and-go delays inbound from O'Hare to the Byrne Interchange 52 minutes. Outbound is 37. It is stop-and-go on the inbound Eisenhower from Wolf to the Old Post Office, 37 minutes. Now, outbound, that is a 38-minute delay, but then after that, you have a collision closing down the exit ramp to get onto the southbound Tri-State. Inbound Stevenson from the Tri-State to Lakeshore is 32 minutes. Outbound is 24. The Dan Ryan inbound from 95th to the Byrne Interchange, 23 minutes. Outbound is 11. This report is sponsored by AutoZone. Get in the zone. Starting stronger starts at AutoZone, where they've got battery solutions in the form of free battery testing, free battery charging, and replacement batteries that fit your needs. That's what makes them America's #1 battery destination. Get in the zone, AutoZone. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next, but now a check of your forecast from the National Weather Service.
Today will be sunny to partly cloudy, breezy, and pleasant with a high of 61. Tonight will be partly cloudy with a low of 41. Tomorrow, expect partly sunny skies with a high of 62. Wednesday will bring pleasant conditions with sunshine and some clouds reaching a high of 57. Thursday will have sun peeking through high clouds with a high of 58. I'm meteorologist Jason Catarina on AM 560, The Answer.
Get the latest weather, traffic, and news updates online at 560theanswer.com.
When the power goes out, life stops. Heat, AC, fridge, phones, all gone. But with a Generac home standby generator from True Power Generator Service, your home powers back on automatically, so you're never left in the dark. Book your consultation today at TruePowerGenerator.com. That's TruePowerGenerator.com. Plus, 560 listeners get a free 10-year extended warranty. Terms and conditions apply. Call for details. True Power Generator Service and Generac. It's not just a generator, it's a power move.
fearless conversations, and sharp analysis of the stories that matter. It's the Aaron Mullins Show, now available on the Salem Podcast Network.
I do find it a little bit off-putting when someone has a history of calling others out for being complicit via their silence to then occupy that space themselves. The hypocrisy is the issue I have.
The Aaron Mullins Show on the Salem Podcast Network. Subscribe today on Apple, Spotify, YouTube, or at SalemPodcastNetwork.com.
Let's see, if something costs less, a lot less, but people are actually happier with it, that sounds like something to look into, and that's MediShare. Maybe you've heard joining MediShare can save you or your family up to $500 a month, and that's huge, but it's also true. People are just happier with it. They love being part of something that reflects and promotes their values and what they believe in. MediShare works, too. It's been around for 30 years now, and members have shared more than $7 billion of each other's bills. People love having telehealth and a huge nationwide PPO network, so yeah, really, you can save a ton and like it better. Imagine being happy with how you're taking care of your health care, whether you're self-employed or part of the gig economy, or you just want a plan that you're happy with. Here you go. You can call right now and get a price within 2 minutes. A very, very smart use of 2 minutes. Here's the number you need. It's 833-34-BIBLE. That's 833-34-BIBLE. 833-34-BIBLE.
Why would you take your precious metal collections to some fly-by-night roadshow that rolls into town once a year? The only thing you need to do is follow the road to Fox Valley Coins and show your gold or silver to Marlin and the team. Gold is at an all-time historical high, so don't keep sitting on your coin hoards or old jewelry that you've been saving to sell when the time is right. The time is right now. Prices have never been better on most collector and gold coins. Fox Valley Coins in Naperville is trying to keep up with demand. So they're paying the most ever on not only most gold coins in bars, but also those old coin collections. You might have scarce dates or higher grade coins, so take advantage of the record high market price and the demand now. Whether you're buying or selling, or just want to find out values, trust the team at Fox Valley Coins. Fox Valley Coins is on Route 59, just one light north of I-88 at the Naperville-Warrenville border. Family-owned integrity since 1981.
This hourly segment is brought to you by Health Quest Radio with Dr. David Kolbaba. Saturday mornings at 11. Visit healthquestradio.com.
Now, from the Signature Bank Studios.
Top of the morning, Dan Proft here, and I'm going to wade into this discussion. It won't be our first time, unlike many. I'm talking about anti-Semitism on the so-called right. This has picked up in intensity after a video that Heritage Foundation President Kevin Roberts posted defending Tucker Carlson and his interview of Nick Fuentes, and the response that drew in part from Mark Levin and others over the weekend at the Republican Jewish Coalition conference. First, Kevin Roberts defending Tucker and drawing some familiar rhetorical lines of distinction.
I'll have more to say on this in the coming days, but today I want to be clear about one thing. Christians can critique the state of Israel without being anti-Semitic. And of course, anti-Semitism should be condemned. My loyalty as a Christian and as an American is to Christ first and to America always. When it serves the interests of the United States to cooperate with Israel and other allies, we should do so, with partnerships on security, intelligence, and technology. But when it doesn't, conservatives should feel no obligation to reflexively support any foreign government, no matter how loud the pressure becomes from the globalist class or from their mouthpieces in Washington. The Heritage Foundation didn't become the intellectual backbone of the conservative movement by canceling our own people or policing the consciences of Christians. And we won't start doing that now. We don't take direction from comments on X, though we are grateful for the robust free speech debate. We also don't take direction from members or donors, though we are inherently grateful for their support. And we're adding more every day. This is the robust debate we invite with our colleagues, our movement friends, our members, and the American public. We will always defend truth. We will always defend America, and we will always defend our friends against the slander of bad actors who serve someone else's agenda. That includes Tucker Carlson, who remains, and as I have said before, always will be a close friend of the Heritage Foundation. The venomous coalition attacking him are sowing division. Their attempt to cancel him will fail. Most important,
they want to criminalize educators for supporting LGBTQ
on our political adversaries.
They want to
the
turn
left,
classrooms
not
into
attacking our
cultural
friends on the
war
right.
battlegrounds.
I disagree.
I'm sorry to be vulgar,
and even deplore
Donald
things
Trump
that Nick Flint
and
has
his
said.
crony.
All right, you got the sorry about the technical glitch there. You got the gist of it from Kevin Roberts. Mark Levin used that as the occasion to focus his remarks not just on Tucker, not just on Kevin Roberts, but the larger question of this quote-unquote venomous coalition that's allegedly trying to cancel Tucker Carlson. Mark Levin said this over the weekend at the Republican Jewish Coalition Conference.
And you're going to see, whether they're in radio or TV or podcasting or politicians, this is going to separate statesmen and leaders from the rest. From the rest. And you can observe this yourselves. These aren't powerful people. Seriously? These aren't intelligent people.
Hey, Dan. You know, I work construction.
These
in
are
the city of
lowlives
Chicago,
that have
and,
platforms.
Okay, let's take a break and see if we can get our act together. I'm sorry about this. See if we can get those clips properly queued up. Dan Proft, Chicago's Morning Answer.
There's only one radio show in Chicago talking about today's biggest stories and telling you what they really mean. That show is this one, Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560, The Answer.
Gain insight into building strong marriages and raising godly children with Focus on the Family with Jim Daly each weekday at 11:30 a.m. on our sister station, AM 1160, Hope for Your Life.
Let me take a moment to talk about my friends at QC Kinetics. They're helping so many listeners regain their mobility free from joint pain. Does this sound like you? Where every time you move, it's a reminder of what hurts? A reminder of how far you've drifted from the life you once had? Well, relief is closer than you think, and it doesn't have to come from surgery. At QC Kinetics, Dr. Caravelli and her team tap into your body's own regenerative power using natural healing factors that help restore and repair damaged tissue, reduce inflammation, and relieve pain at its source. Stop masking the pain. Let QC Kinetics help you regain what pain took away. And this Veterans Day, QC Kinetics is giving back to our heroes. Veterans will get $500 off their treatment. And for every non-veteran who starts care, QC Kinetics will donate $500 to the Wounded Warrior Project. It's a great time to book your free consultation to learn how QC Kinetics can help. Call 312-827-6261. That's 312-827-6261. Once more, that phone number, 312-827-6261, and tell them I sent you when you call.
Rick Borick talks about the emotions of stock market investing.
At what point would you rethink your decision that you're invested in the stock market? And you'll notice that someone who answered that question 6 months ago saying, I'm not going to panic until it's down 30%, calls you up on the phone and says, it's down 8%, what's going on? And I says, what happened to the 30% guy, right?
Unleash Your Wealth, Saturday at 7 a.m. and 2 p.m. on AM 560, The Answer.
I can't believe how much better Dad's doing since we brought on Senior Helpers of Naperville Southwest.
I know. He's more engaged, more himself. It makes such a difference having him right here at home. Around the photos, his old record player, his favorite recliner, all the little things he knows. That familiarity really matters with dementia.
And their caregivers, they're just incredible. They treat him with so much patience and respect.
Plus, they helped us tap into a Medicare program that offers 80 hours of respite care for Alzheimer's and dementia.
We're not worried anymore, and Dad gets to stay where he's happiest, at home.
Trust the caregivers at Senior Helpers of Naperville Southwest. Serving Cook, DuPage, Kane, Kendall, and Will counties. They have no hourly minimums, and you can call them 24/7 at 331-281-0728. Again, that's 331-281-0728. 281-0728 and tell them AM 560 sent you. Senior Helpers of Naperville Southwest. Senior care only better.
Hi, I'm Ken Mariotti, owner of Woodland Windows and Doors, a third-generation family-owned business since 1969. We know you're bombarded by choices when shopping for new windows or doors, so we're inviting you to experience the Woodland difference. For decades, we have been transforming living spaces with Marvin Windows, a fifth-generation family business. Marvin replacement windows have been known to increase the warmth of your cold rooms by 10 degrees. Think about that, 10 degrees warmer. When you welcome Woodland into your home, you will get a product expert to transform your living spaces, full-time, dedicated professional installers that you can trust in your home, along with the best products like Marvin. These are the reasons we're proud of our 5-star reviews and family legacy. No gimmicks, no pressure, and upfront pricing are why Woodland Windows and Doors is your trusted window and door expert in Chicagoland. Visit woodlandwindows.com to book your free in-home expert consultation. That's woodlandwindows.com, or stop by our showroom at the corner of Lake and Geary in Roselle.
Are you tired of tech headaches slowing your business down? Unique Computing Solutions has been the go-to IT team for businesses in Illinois and Northwest Indiana for nearly 30 years. Your systems should be running smoothly, your data secured, and your communications streamlined. Visit our website today at uniquecomputingsolutions.com. That's uniquecomputingsolutions.com. uniquecomputingsolutions.com. Your IT challenges solved.
Hello, this is Alistair Begg. In September of 2026, I'll be teaching the Bible as we cruise through the Norwegian fjords. I'd love for you to join me. Call 855-565-5519 or visit deeperfaithcruise.com.
AM 560, The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan Proft here. We'll have to get back to the Tucker Carlson, Mark Levin square off, not directly, but sort of indirectly as representations of a schism on the right, if you will, a bit later or tomorrow when we have our act together here. Apologies. In the interim, next hour we'll be talking to both David Drucker as well as Carol Markowitz, in part about tomorrow's elections. And that would necessarily include Mr. Mamdani, who has become the cause celeb, the it girl of the neo-Marxists in this 2025 cycle, quite clearly. Some more last-minute clips of Mamdani floating around that will not alter the outcome of the race, which is, I think, as I said last week, Mamdani probably winning with more votes than Sliwa and Cuomo combined, much to the chagrin of Chris Cuomo, who all of a sudden found his inner rage at the neo-Marxists that otherwise his brother, and he did the bidding for his brother as governor. He on CNN, now he's outraged by this, and they're destroying the party, and they should go off and create their own party, and he's really giving them the what for. Yeah, yawn, Fredo. That's his News Nation makeover. Unpersuasive, at least to me. But some of the clips that are rather entertaining of Mamdani is like, Mamdani when he wants to be the Ugandan, the Muslim, versus Mamdani who wants to be mainstreamed and get away, as SNL parodied him, with the uncomfortable smile after everything he says. So Mamdani, the man from Uganda,
is, I'm from Uganda, but I also grew up in New York. In New York, you don't really, you go out, some guys are very hesitant to dance. If they're not grinding, they're just standing. In Kampala, you will just not find that.
So you picked up the accent, right? I mean, he's not the first politician to do this, but it's just noticeable, and anybody who does do this should be ridiculed. So that includes Mamdani. So that's Mamdani talking about dancing. That's Zoran the Ugandan. Here's Zoran the New Yorker talking about eating biryani with his hands, since this has become sort of a faux thing on the internet with respect to his TikTokery and so forth.
And their number one issue is whether or not I eat biryani with my hands.
Yeah.
It shows you the disconnect. And also the fact that everybody eats with their hands, whether you're eating chicken wings or burgers or pizza or biryani or whatever it is. But the thing that's been I would say kind of like a silver lining of it is I was in Jackson Heights not too long ago. I was in Diversity Plaza. I'm walking across the plaza, and there's a man who's driving his car, and I can see his car starts to jerk because he's trying to put it in park and get out at the same time to talk to me. But he finally gets it, and he says, I also eat with my hands. I was like, that's great, Habibi, that's great. Many of us do. And he was like, let's take a photo. I was like, amazing.
Literally, because
we'll do it.
News flash to the Western world, literally the entire global South eats with their hands. The majority of the world eats that way.
Yeah, right. A straw man. Nobody cares. But it's a way to, feel oppressed and not accepted, and anybody who was critical of that is disconnected, and it represents, what they're up against, where, as he said, a Muslim in New York is used to being slighted or being treated with in an undignified fashion, or whatever words he used to that effect. But that whole fun-loving, regular New Yorker Mamdani, happy-go-lucky Marxist Mamdani. That's what SNL parodied. Here was the Mamdani opening statement in their satirical debate.
Everyone, I'm happy to be here, and I'm ready to spend the next hour hearing my opponents pronounce my name in ways you couldn't begin to imagine. And I know some of you are out there scared of the idea of a young socialist Muslim mayor, so allow me to put you at ease by smiling after every answer in a way that physically hurts my face.
Pretty good. And Miles Teller, who's the host, he played Handsy Andy Cuomo. Did a pretty good job.
Hello, voters. You all know me. I got us through COVID and then yada, 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 Hong Kong squeeze, squeeze. Anyway, I'm back. I am born, bred New Yorker. I love it here. I know this city like the back of a woman's back. Mamma mia.
And Mamma mia. And then Shane Gillis played our friend Curtis Sliwa.
But I'm the right choice to be your next mayor. No offense to my opponents, Mr. Cuomo, and I believe I'm saying this right, Zoltar Rob Zombie.
A couple of others that were pretty fun. I mean, one of SNL's better skits in a while. It poked pretty good fun at all three candidates. But I liked the question as to Mamdani's message to undecided voters.
All right, Mr. Mamdani, your message to undecided voters?
My message is this. Hey girl, I know you got a little white guilt for gentrifying that Spanish neighborhood, don't you? Why don't you vote for me? You feel a little less bad about that chicken and rice shop getting turned into a sweet green. So why don't you hit me up at the ballot box, girl?
Mr. Mamdani, you were warned that this is not the forum for your TikTokery.
Yeah, and that is actually about his value proposition. That's not really even satire. Just the whole white guilt thing. Pretty good. Jim in Crown Point, you're on Chicago's Morning Answer.
He doesn't say white people, but it is white people. Everything's, we are so odd. We are a Christian nation that was built on Christian values, and it was white people who did it. It wasn't anybody else. It's ridiculous how these young kids in college are standing behind this idiot. I had a son that went to college, and he had the narrative until he got married, 2 kids, and a job. He became a conservative real quick.
Mugged by reality. There you go, Jim. Thanks for the call. A little stake in the game changes your perspective, huh? Maybe someday Mamdani will have some. The other thing that I thought was pretty good, just in terms of parroting Cuomo, too, the idea that this is some moral imperative that center-right voters get out to the polls to support Cuomo. It's complete silliness. I reject that entirely. And this question about the bagel order is perfect because it just speaks to what I said before, what I've been saying about Andy Cuomo. He's a company man. He's a panderer. You don't think he'll pander to the neo-Marxists that dominate his party now? Just like he would pander to any other constituency at any given point in time if it advances his flag? Of course he would. And SNL actually captured that pretty well.
All right, let's move on to the most important question tonight. What's your go-to bagel order, Mr. Mamdani?
What I'd like is for the person serving me that bagel to be paid a living wage.
Boo! Relax, nerd. Mr. Cuomo, go-to bagel order? I swear to God, I am not saying this to pander to Jewish voters, but it's a latke smeared with gefilte fish eaten in a booth next to Barbra Streisand by the light of a menorah.
That's pretty good. Pretty good. And expertly delivered by Miles Teller, by the way. And if you haven't seen The Offer yet, the series on the making of The Godfather, Miles Teller plays Al Ruddy, one of the producers whose the story is told from his perspective. Really good. That, along with Whiplash, is some of Miles Teller's best work. Dan Proft, Chicago's Morning Answer.
Pressure on the Democrats.
Major political problems for Democrats. The country's largest union representing federal workers is calling for Congress to pass a clean, continuing resolution to get the government open again and to get federal workers paid. This will ratchet pressure up on the Democrats to perhaps give in.
The Scott Jennings Show. Weekdays at 1, right before Hugh Hewitt at 2 on AM 560. The Answer.
I'll be here to hear what's on your mind.
Kids want to share what's going on in their lives with the adults around them. Parents, grandparents, teachers, coaches, and more. They want to know you're listening, and they want to listen to you. They want your input and guidance, early and often, on all kinds of topics. When it comes to a serious subject like underage drinking, they want to know your expectations, as well as how and why, as a young person, they should avoid alcohol. How you talk about it will change as your child grows, but the important thing is to talk about it, not just once for an hour.
Coming up at 8:08, we'll talk shutdown and perhaps a little bit more from Trump's 60-minute interview. That's at 8:08, and it's now 8 o'clock on AM 560 WIND Chicago.
It's down to the wire. CJ Papa, Fox News. President Obama flexing his muscle over the weekend, starring in both events in New Jersey and Virginia. Fox's Alexandria Hoff reporting from Richmond.
Lieutenant Governor Winsome Earle-Sears, he still does have a climb ahead of her against former Democratic Congresswoman Abigail Spanberger. According to the latest Roanoke College poll, there's a 10-point difference there with a 4% margin of error. Now, Spanberger's also spending the final day of his campaign here in Richmond at a VCU student event. This weekend, though, at a rally in Norfolk, someone who's become a big name for this campaign made an appearance. Former President Obama, sure, but Democrat Attorney General candidate Jay Jones also took this stage. Of course, his text message scandal that fantasized about the political murder of an opponent has dominated much of the criticism for this campaign, but he spoke anyway.
The Democrats want to turn the governor's mansion blue after current Governor Glenn Youngkin defeated Terry McAuliffe by more than 63,000 votes in the last election. In New Jersey, Republicans want to prevent Democrats from retaining the state house for a third straight term, something that has not been done since 1961. Fox's Mark Meredith at Morristown in northern New Jersey.
Today is the final chance both the Democratic and Republican gubernatorial candidates have to make their pitch to voters. Early voting wrapped up, more than 1.1 million ballots already cast. But tomorrow being Election Day, this will be their chance to give their message out one last time. And the big issue on both sides appears to be the cost of living in New Jersey. The Democratic candidate, she has been out on the stump all weekend. Mikey Sherrill also campaigning with top Democratic leaders, including former President Obama. He rallied for her in Newark over the weekend. Polling shows Sherrill leading Republican Jack Ciattarelli by 7 points of likely voters. But remember, 4 years ago, this same man ran for the same job but only lost the race by roughly 3 points.
President Trump holding tele-rallies this evening in Virginia and New Jersey, trying to sway voters who have not cast their vote early to vote for Republicans running for governor in those states. America's listening to Fox News.
Good morning. It is 52 degrees here in Chicago on AM 560, The Answer. I'm Stace Keene in the AM 560 newsroom. It was another violent weekend here in the Chicagoland area. Chicago police say at least 2 people are dead and 21 injured from shootings that occurred from Friday until Sunday. Victims ranged from 17 to 74 years old. Chicago police are asking for the public's help in identifying a man that they believe is responsible for a string of robberies that are targeting pharmacies. According to the CPD, suspect has jumped over the counter of at least 7 North End pharmacies over the past several weeks and stolen narcotics. Police say the thief has fled each of those robberies on a black electric scooter. Anyone with information is asked to contact Belmont area detectives at 312-744-8263. And Illinois has passed a bill allowing terminally ill patients to self-administer life-ending medication with no required medical supervision, and that's sparking a fierce debate over safety, ethics, and the late-night fall veto session vote. Katrina Barker has the story.
State Representative Bill Howder warned that the bill lets patients obtain and use medication without any medical supervision, a concern shared by the Illinois State Medical Society and the American Medical Association, which say it fundamentally violates physicians' oath to do no harm.
No, it's not at the hospital at all. In fact, there's no requirement to have any medical personnel around. And so what it is just a prescription. And then there's always dispensing issues, and our pharmacies are going to opt out, and so there'll only be a few pharmacies, and you'll have to travel, or they'll mail them to you.
I'm Katrina Barker.
News is a service of AlmostFreeTeeth.com. Think full mouth dental implants are too expensive? Think again, not at AlmostFreeTeeth.com. With medical insurance, you could save thousands and receive your finally affordable dream smile. Check if you qualify today at AlmostFreeTeeth.com. A check of the roads is coming up in 2 minutes, but time now for the AM 560 Business Beat, a service of Signature Bank.
I'm Charles Payne, and this is the Fox Business Report.
Kenvue, the maker of Tylenol, has been sold to Kimberly-Clark, which produces Huggies diapers and many other products. It's a $48.7 billion deal. Kenvue also makes Neutrogena, Band-Aid, and Johnson's Baby. Kimberly-Clark also makes Kleenex and Cottonelle. BP is selling its interest in midstream refining to investment firm Sixth Street for $1.5 billion. The Wall Street Journal says BP is looking for ways to pay down debt. The midstream business handles transportation, storage, and processing of oil and gas before it reaches markets. Glencore says it is planning to close its largest copper metal producing operation in Canada because of environmental issues and the expense of upgrading the facility. That's your Fox Business Report. I'm Jimmy Coselda. Invested in you.
I'm attorney Stephen Leahy. You heard my warning. Illinois tax amnesty is live now. It started October 1st and ends November 17th. For a short window, pay your qualifying back taxes, and the state will wipe out penalties and interest. No strings attached. But when November 17th hits, this deal is gone. If you're a 1099 worker, contractor, or small business owner, timing is everything. You need clear steps fast. Here's what to do. Go to fightbacknow.com and sign up for my free daily email. You'll get plain English updates, action steps, what qualifies, and the common mistakes that can cost you thousands. Free, daily, straight to your inbox. Get the free daily email now and follow along. Go to fightbacknow.com and sign up for the free daily email. That's fightbacknow.com, your step-by-step guide before the clock runs out November 17th.
We all know the importance of good daily habits, whether it's getting your steps in, stretching those limbs, or eating right. Doing it on the regular is key. That's why if you're dealing with everyday aches and pain, it's time to bring Relief Factor into your routine. Relief Factor is a daily supplement that fights pain naturally. Developed by doctors, Relief Factor uses a special formula of 4 natural ingredients. Relief Factor doesn't just mask pain, it helps reduce or even eliminate it. In fact, the longer you take it, the more effective it is. So call 1-800-4-RELIEF and try their 3-week quick start for only $19.95. That's less than $1 a day. Simply call 1-800-4-RELIEF. That's 1-800-4-RELIEF. Wherever you're having pain, don't let it keep you from living the life you want. Make Relief Factor part of your daily routine. Go to relieffactor.com or call 1-800-4-RELIEF. That's 1-800-4-RELIEF.
Taking a look at the roads from the Team Hochberg Traffic Center, I'm Sue Aller. Inbound on the Eden from Lake Cook to Montrose is 17 minutes. Outbound a little bit busy at 23. Still slammed on the inbound Kennedy from O'Hare to the Burn Interchange, 50 minutes. Outbound is 44. The Eisenhower inbound from Wolf to the Old Post Office, 43 minutes. Outbound is 28, but good news, a crash has cleared on the exit ramp to get onto the southbound Tri-State. The inbound Stevenson from the Tri-State to Lakeshore is 41 minutes. Outbound is 27. And you're slow on the Dan Ryan. Inbound from 95th to the Burn Interchange, 31 minutes. Outbound is 11. A long-term project on the Reagan Memorial Tollway closes down the exit ramp on the westbound side to get off onto the southbound Tri-State. And northbound Lakeshore Drive, that is completely jammed as you make your way towards Hollywood Avenue. Traffic is a service of Fox Valley Coins. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next, but now a check of your forecast from the National Weather Service.
Today will be sunny to partly cloudy, breezy, and pleasant with a high of 61. Tonight, expect partly cloudy skies with a low of 41. Tomorrow will be partly sunny with a high of 62. Wednesday will bring pleasant conditions with sunshine and some clouds reaching a high of 57. Thursday will have sun peeking through high clouds with a high of 58. I'm meteorologist Jason Caterina on AM 560, The Answer.
Get the latest weather, traffic, and news updates online at 560theanswer.com. Now, from the Signature Bank Studios, this is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft on AM 560, The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan Proft here. So, SNAP benefits is going to be the squeeze play that gets the Trump administration to fold. Is that what we're supposed to believe? I'm not sure. I don't think so, actually. Of course, I'm talking about as it pertains to the partial, quote unquote, shutdown of the government, meaning the furlough of non-essential workers. Yeah, it turns out once you start getting into the weeds, people have a lot of questions. People hearing about programs, the details, that is, that maybe they haven't heard about in a while or even considered. And so the hand-wringing about Americans that are allegedly going to starve if SNAP benefits were interrupted. Mm-hmm. And then we hear from Ag Secretary Brooke Rollins about the audits that was begun under this administration of SNAP benefits, looking at who is being provided SNAP benefits at the state level. Brooke Rollins, Ag Secretary, on Fox and Friends over the weekend, offering this.
Day one of USDA, February 13th, is we sent letters to every governor in America being very clear that no illegal aliens can use SNAP. 0, 0, 0. We asked every state for the first time in history, and this was in February, to send us their data and let us, with DOJ and a war room, actually start going through this data to better understand how this explosion of SNAP benefits happened under Joe Biden. We increased almost 40% on this program in just a couple of years under the Biden administration. Of course, we know they were trying to buy the election, but that's a conversation for another time. And since we have asked for that data, 29 states have complied. Of course, almost all the red states, a couple of couple blue states too. But in that data, and I haven't talked about this yet publicly, in that data we've studied about $100 billion in spend. We have found thousands and thousands of illegal use of the EBT card. We have been moving people off of SNAP. We've got almost 700,000 people, I think, we've moved off just since the president took office. We've arrested about 118 people. So this has been ongoing. But, Rachel, to your point, what this conversation has allowed is a national spotlight on a broken and corrupt program. We found one guy in 6 different states getting a benefit. We found about about 5,000 people that are dead who are still getting benefits. Like, it is time to drastically reform this program so that we can make sure that those who are truly needy, truly vulnerable, are getting what they need, and the rest of the corruption goes away and we can serve the American taxpayer.
Yeah, so it's not just in terms of providing benefits to people in the country illegally that are not entitled to those benefits, but it's also just the general incompetence that you are familiar with anytime we talk about any significant government program. The kind of data points you heard from Brooke Rollins that sounds like, I don't know, when Frank LaRose, the Secretary of State in Ohio, talks about the voter rolls and what they find when they actually go in and clean them up at the state level in a place like Ohio where they're serious about it, unlike so many states, including Illinois. So this is going to be the trigger, even with that Obama-appointed politician in a robe from Boston who was compelling the administration to provide manipulate funds to ensure that SNAP benefits are uninterrupted, something that it sounded like Trump was going to do anyway. But regardless, this is what's going to put the squeeze on the congressional Republicans and the White House to the spend that was not part of the BBB that the Dems want in. You can count me among the skeptical, but for Inside the Beltway View, pleased to be joined by David Drucker, senior writer for The Dispatch, author of In Trump's Shadow, The Battle for 2024 and the Future of the GOP. David, thanks for joining us. Appreciate it.
Yeah, good to be here.
So does the hue and cry over SNAP that basically subsided over the weekend after that judicial intervention, and frankly, as I said, after Trump's comments, too, to those ends, is that going to change the political calculus in D.C. at all?
Well, I think it'll change it a little, possibly. And what I mean is, I don't know that SNAP alone is going to do it, but the longer the shutdown lasts, the more, average Americans, by just which I mean, they read the news, they watch the news, but they're not living and breathing the stuff the way we are. But the more average Americans who intake information in a normal way feel impacted by the shutdown or are aware of it and get annoyed by it, eventually there'll be a critical mass of pressure for something to happen. Who does it first? Who blinks? Do they blink together? I don't know the answer to that yet. I have been saying that it may not necessarily be this week with SNAP benefits, but you get to a week before Thanksgiving and the shutdown's still going on and air traffic controllers and TSA agents are walking off the job. Americans don't like to be inconvenienced. They don't want to miss Thanksgiving with their family. That's the kind of thing that could get this thing to end.
Well, is there any, there was some discussion last week about the Senate Republicans and Schumer trying to find some sort of off-ramp, but I mean, what, if anything, is even possible as some sort of off-ramp where both sides share some of the blame and some of the credit for ending it? Yeah,
that's a really hard question to answer because, as with all government shutdowns, this thing's become about political power. And I don't even mean that in a pejorative sense. It's just, it starts as a disagreement over policy, and everybody maintains it's a disagreement over policy. But now it's, Republicans don't want to be whipsawed by a Democratic minority in Congress. President Trump certainly doesn't. Democrats, on the other hand, are getting attaboys from the Democratic base. They're glad to see them finally fighting Trump. And the
finally fighting him. I mean, that's. I know that's their perspective, but I mean, it's sort of silly.
Well, it is, but they were looking for more overt, obvious example of fighting. They weren't looking for disagreeing. They wanted combat. And a shutdown, when you're in the minority, but you have the filibuster, is one of the only ways you have to show combat. And then, you have Democrats who have been getting attaboys from the Democratic base, as I was saying. So they're getting encouraged to keep this going. And, and then in the back of everybody's mind, you've got these Obamacare subsidy that are expiring. And there are even Republicans that want to find a way to extend them. So it's not just the Democratic Party in this regard. And, so how that plays into this, we'll see.
Well, but it is the Democrats that have ranks being broken. The American Federation for Government Workers, Sean O'Brien at the Teamsters, Fetterman and Golden. So they have some resistance from within their own ranks on this matter, and not necessarily from the usual suspects. If it was just Fetterman, you could say, oh, well, he's more independent and that. Well, but when, you have the boss of the Government Workers Union saying it's time to pass a clean CR and get everybody paid and back to work and negotiate those Obamacare subsidies on their own. When you have somebody like that saying it, that's more sort of center cut for that party.
That's true, and that could be a way in which eventually Senate Democrats rationalize telling their base that we're going to end the shutdown and then, push for a vote on these extensions. It's the kind of thing where they could take a fig leaf, if you were, from Majority Leader John Thune, who's like, listen, I'll discuss anything you want, just open the government. And they could frame that as, here, we have an agreement to discuss this. This wouldn't have been such a big issue without us. It's all about how you frame it versus what is, and that's one way we could see it framed. But I just get back to, you need lots of Americans to be annoyed. Politicians are in the service business. When their customers are upset, they act.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, I mean, I agree. Like that air traffic thing is, that could be a moment. You're right. If it persists until the Thanksgiving holiday and you have a shortage that really materially seizes up the system, that's a possibility. I can see that point. The Trump interview with 60 Minutes with Norah O'Donnell yesterday, I was struck just sort of categorically by the fact that Trump does not see clearly any need for any sort of course correction. I mean, here's a guy who's not afraid to make a course correction, sort of responding, as you were saying, to what he's hearing back from his constituents, the ones that matter to him at least, and what, thinking about this from an electoral calculus, of course. And when it came to ICE activities, it hasn't been strong enough, the ICE activities. When it came to political retribution, you want to talk about indictments? I'm the guy that was the victim of lawfare, not John Bolton and not Jim Comey. And so, on some of those issues where there's real division that are sort of, powerful issues that sort of pack some real strident public opinion on both sides. I mean, he is doubling down, if anything. That's what came across to me.
Yeah, Trump's an interesting figure in this way. He often course corrects and backs down. He just never says that he does. He always claims that it's not actually what he's doing. I will say, on the other hand, you're dealing with a president in his second term who was reelected, so he can't run again. Mm-hmm. This is it for him. So what does he care? And presidents in their second term often are looking ahead and saying to themselves, I don't have to make compromises anymore. And Trump's, he's really built up the Republican Party, but he's not a party guy by nature. And so he's going to do what he wants and let the party come along with him. The other thing I would say is, and this is just, I'm kind of shrinking the guy and putting him on the couch, but he was reelected last year after everything that happened between his loss in 2020 and his getting into the 2024 campaign. And so if I'm him, and I felt this from the beginning, what constraints is he supposed to feel? Because everything he did that was kryptonite for any normal politician, or at least in a different era, did not impact him. And so he's thinking, hey, what do I have to back down for? I mean, politicians are people at the end of the day, and if you pay attention to their personality and how they operate, it's not surprises me.
Yeah, I think not just him, but also those around him, including his sons, they have to be looking ahead too, and not just to the midterms, but to say, what is the order of succession here? We want this movement to continue. Maybe there's some, internal disagreement about who should be the heir apparent. I mean, it would seem like J.D. Vance is the natural, but Rubio's name has been mentioned. Don Jr.'s name has been mentioned, and who's going to play which roles. But I mean, clearly they don't want this to stop with the midterms and with the 28 election where Trump is exiting the stage. So, that has to be factored into the choices they make and the approach they take as well.
Everything you're saying makes common sense. What I would say is during the first term, the advisor that most embodied that approach was Jared Kushner, who obviously is on the outside this time. And his immediate circle and his kids that are involved are not doing anything that would suggest, not that they're not thinking about the future. If you look at their relationship with J.D. Vance and the things they've been doing in and around him, that shows that they're looking to the future. But they are approaching this, it would seem, and this is not based on reporting, but just based on my observation and having done this a long time, as though they have found the winning formula and that they can just keep doing what they're doing. And I think that's a very open, unanswered question because Trump is a very unique figure. And this is how I like to put it. And I do this on purpose, he's just crazy enough for the people on the wings of the party that want to see that. And he's just normal enough and establishment-minded enough, being a businessman and building a business and all of that, for the rank and file who can be a little uncomfortable with some of the things he does and just want somebody normal. Trump is able to do things that we don't know yet that the next Republican is going to be able to do.
Mm-hmm. No, that's a good observation. David Drucker, senior writer for The Dispatch, author of In Trump's Shadow, The Battle for 2024 and the Future of the GOP. David, thanks for joining us again. Appreciate it.
Anytime. Thank you.
Thank you. And he joined us on the Turnkey.Pro answer line.
This is the morning show more Chicago radio listeners are choosing. This is Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
At Terra Vista of Oak Brook Terrace, dementia care isn't just what we do. It's all we do. We specialize in caring for those with Alzheimer's and other types of dementia. We're on the forefront of dementia care with a barrier-free, stress-free environment, so residents can explore safely and feel at home. But what truly sets Terra Vista apart? Personalized care. We take the time to learn each resident's story, where they lived, their routines, former careers, even the names of family members. Anyone who interacts with your loved one can immediately make them feel comfortable and understood. We meet our residents right where they are. Residents stay strong and engaged with multi-sensory activities, music, art, horticulture, our beautiful 18,000 square foot outdoor space, and even a personal trainer. At Terra Vista, residents aren't defined by their dementia. We honor the whole person. Speak to an advisor or schedule a tour today at terravista.org. Again, that's terravista.org, and tell them AM 560 sent you.
Hey, I'm Brant, and her name is Sherry.
Hello.
She's a friend of mine whom we were just praying for because of a surgery she just went through.
Yes, and I am very happy about something you actually talk about all the time, which is
Medi-Share.
That is right.
Yeah. So what was your experience like with Medi-Share and the healthcare bills?
Honestly, Brant, seamless. And what a blessing that is when you're already nervous about a health issue, which I was.
Yeah.
Members shared my expenses. There were zero problems. And let me tell you, having people pray with you when you call in with your need, that is just...
It is refreshing.
Yes, that's what it is.
What I keep telling people. People love Medi-Share, and they love saving tons of money, too. The typical family can save $500 a month.
I am very thankful for Medi-Share. It is so different, and I mean different in a very, very good way.
It is good different. Call now. They're easy to talk to, and you can get a price within 2 minutes. Call 833-34-BIBLE. That's 833-34-BIBLE. 833-34-BIBLE.
This past year has been one of the hardest in MyPillow's history. It's because of you that they are making it through. They want to thank you for your continued support by extending their wholesale prices on classic MyPillows. Get standard classic MyPillows for only $14.98. It gets even better. Upgrade to a queen size MyPillow for just $18.98. King size only $1 more, or multi-use pillows for only $9.98. Get body pillows for $29.98 with a free pillowcase. So go to mypillow.com or call 800-489-0201 and use promo code LIBERTY to take advantage advantage of these wholesale prices, including the standard size MyPillow, originally $49.98, now only $14.98. Queens $18.98, Kings only $1 more. That's 800-489-0201 and use promo code LIBERTY. Order $100 or more and your order ships absolutely free. We know MyPillow products come with a 10-year warranty, but MyPillow has just announced that they are extending their 60-day money-back guarantee. That's right. Orders placed between now and December 25th will have their 60-day money-back guarantee extended through March 1st, 2026.
So my mother is thinking of switching from Verizon to Pure Talk, but she's worried the deal sounds too good to be true. Michael, she said, how can those Pure Talk people offer me the same basic service as Verizon for so much less money? I said, Ma, go ask Google how much Verizon spends on advertising and promotions. A few seconds later, my mother said, oh my goodness, $12 billion a year? That must be a typo. I'll tell you what I told my mom. It's not a typo. Verizon spends $12 billion a year on advertising and promotions, and their customers are paying for it. Well, Pure Talk doesn't spend that kind of money on commercials. Trust me, I would know. That's why they can offer you and my mother unlimited talk, text, and plenty of data on a crazy fast 5G network for just $25 a month. And if you're a business owner, you could really save a fortune. Dial pound 250, say the words Mike Rowe, and you'll get an additional 50% off your first month. That's pound 250 Mike Rowe. Pure Talk. Everything you need and nothing you don't.
AM 560. The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan Proft here. There's a pretty good Instagram account, or Insta, I guess as the kids say, by Blue Collar. They've got some pretty funny vignettes that they put together. Clever. The Blue Collar job interview. This is one of the better ones I've seen. And I love not only the crispness of this writing, but also what it indicates about, why that blue collar jobs are increasingly attractive and college is not. Because corporate America, like this is guys interviewing for a job, guys talking about a job, guys just talking. And just think about that versus having to deal with some, a rawful HR person at some faceless corporation who got her art history degree at Vassar and is feminizing the workplace and the larger community and world around her. This is, I think, where most guys want to be when they're applying a trade.
All right, let's get this over with. You want to work blue collar. First question, are you comfortable working 60 hours a week?
60? I didn't realize this was a part-time job.
Okay. Next question. The safety man catches you not using proper lifting technique for heavy stuff. What do you respond with?
Tell him his mom used proper lifting technique for heavy stuff last night.
That's word for word what I've written down. Okay? All right. Fill in the blank. Once you become a heavy equipment operator, you become
better than everyone else on the job site.
Give me 1 second. Yeah, cancel my appointments the rest of the day. Well, then make appointments and cancel them. Especially that guy with the Honda Ridgeline. Call him again just so he knows he really didn't get the job. Yeah, sorry about that. All right, your manager comes out and starts critiquing you on how you're supposed to do things.
Tell him if he wants it done his way, he can come out and do it himself.
Have you done this before? Your coworker Steven comes up and tells you he has proof you violated safety protocol and he's going to go tell management. How do you respond?
I tell him this is exactly why his wife and kids left him.
These are yours now.
Hands up the keys. Got the job. Needless to say, that's so good. So good. Coming up at 8:38, we'll return to our discussion about tomorrow's election, starting with the mayor's race. New York Post columnist Carol Markowitz joins us 8:38. Now we check the headlines.
Good morning. It is 46 degrees here in Chicago on AM 560, The Answer. I'm Stace Keene in the AM 560 newsroom. President Trump visited CBS's 60 Minutes, where he said Republicans will continue to vote on a short-term bill that funds the government at current levels and insists Democrats should be supporting it.
Always saying, Give us an extension. We'll work it out. They've lost their way. They become crazed lunatics. And all they have to do, Nora, is say, let's vote.
That bill's already failed over a dozen times in the Senate. Democrats say they won't support any funding of legislation unless it extends subsidies for the Affordable Care Act that are set to expire later this year. And it's beginning to look a lot more like Christmas. The city of Chicago has selected their official Chicago Christmas tree. The 68-foot Norway spruce was donated by a family in Glenview. The tree lighting ceremony is set for Friday, November 21st at Millennium Park. Pre-lighting festivities start at 5 with the lighting to take place approximately 6:25 p.m. Organizers remind you to get there early and be sure to bundle up. This news update is delivered to you by Quick Delivery Service. Visit quickdelivery.com when you need same-day delivery, local delivery when you need it from safe, licensed professionals. Go to quickdelivery.com now and schedule your delivery. A check of the roads is coming up in 2 minutes on AM 560, The Answer.
Hugh Hewitt explains how crazy things were before Trump.
What Special Prosecutor Jack Smith was trying to do before the election ended what he was doing. Whistleblower has turned over evidence of 197 subpoenas that went out from Jack Smith. In other words, you had a maniac running the investigation appointed by Merrick Garland with no oversight. A maniac.
The Hugh Hewitt Show. Afternoons at 2, right before Sean Thompson at 4 on AM 560. The Answer.
Let me take a moment to talk about my friends at QC Kinetics. They're helping so many listeners regain their mobility free from joint pain. Does this sound like you? Where every time you move, it's a reminder of what hurts? A reminder of how far you've drifted from the life you once had? Well, relief is closer than you think, and it doesn't have to come from surgery. At QC Kinetics, Dr. Caravelli and her team tap into your body's own regenerative power using natural healing factors that help restore and repair damaged tissue, reduce inflammation, and relieve pain at its source. Stop masking the pain. Let QC Kinetics help you regain what pain took away. And this Veterans Day, QC Kinetics is giving back to our heroes. Veterans will get $500 off their treatment. And for every non-veteran who starts care, QC Kinetics will donate $500 to the Wounded Warrior Project. It's a great time to book your free consultation to learn how QC Kinetics can help. Call 312-827-6261. That's 312-827-6261. Once more, that phone number, 312-827-6261, and tell them I sent you when you call. Medical professionals, is God calling you to contribute your medical skills for something more? Are you looking for better hours and a more flexible schedule? Since 2009, Waterleaf Women's Center in Aurora, Illinois has provided free and compassionate care to thousands of women facing an unplanned pregnancy. Due to the incredible growth of our ministry and the upcoming addition of wellness and prenatal services, we are seeking new members to join our medical team of doctors, nurses, and sonographers. Waterleaf offers a comfortable working environment, flexible hours, a Christ-centered approach, and a competitive salary. We consistently rank among the top-performing nonprofit pregnancy clinics in the nation, and our patient survey scores are phenomenal. For more information, please call Waterleaf Women's Center at 630-701-6270, 630-701-6270, or visit onechoiceonelife.org today. That website, onechoiceonelife.org. onechoiceonelife.org.
145 over 92.
180 over 111.
182 over 100. And I had a heart attack and a cardiac arrest, and then a stroke.
Your blood pressure numbers could change your life.
A lot of people don't understand, including myself, I didn't, now I do, the impact of having a stroke.
My memory is shot.
When I woke up, I couldn't speak.
Lowering your high blood pressure could save you from a heart attack or stroke. If you've stopped your treatment plan, restart it or talk to your doctor about creating one that works better for you. Start taking the right steps at manageyourbp.org.
It's a new life, but I'm going to make it better. I'm coming back. Ask your doctor, check your blood pressure.
Brought to you by the American Heart Association, American Medical Association, and the Ad Council.
It's a bully, but we aren't afraid of a fight. It's elusive, but our focus never fades. It's deadly, but we were born to defeat cancer. You may not have heard of us, but our work has helped millions impacted by cancer. We are the Leukemia and Lymphoma Society. We are leaders in advancing breakthroughs in immunotherapy, genomics, and personalized medicine. This research saves lives. After 65 years of fighting blood cancers, we've arrived at a game-changing belief. The cures for cancer are in our blood. The drugs and treatments we've developed for blood cancers have helped people affected by many different types of cancers. We are the Leukemia and Lymphoma Society. Beating cancer is in our blood. Learn more at LLS.org.
Wake up and text. Text and eat. Text and catch the bus. Text and miss your stop. Wait. Text and be late to work.
Sorry, I'm late.
Text and work. Text and pretend to work. Text and act surprised when someone calls you out for not working.
Who, me?
Text and meet up with a friend you haven't seen in forever.
Hi.
Oh, hey.
Text and complain that they're on their phone the whole time. Text and listen to them complain that you're on your phone the whole time. Text and whatever. But when you get behind the wheel, give your phone to a passenger. Put it in the glove box. Just don't text and drive. Visit StopTextsStopWrecks.org. A public service announcement brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
This is the story of a very special woman. In a matter of seconds, she turned herself into a great mathematician or an entrepreneur. Her knowledge was limitless and still is. She could also make monsters disappear, especially those that lurked in the shadows under the bed. Once, this woman put back together a teenage girl's broken heart, which had been shattered in 1,000 pieces, just by giving her a bear hug. She masqueraded as a regular person at work, but as a superhero at home. Everyone knows her as Gabriella. I still call her Mom.
Your hero needs you now, and AARP is here to help. Find the care guides you need to help, complete with tips and resources at aarp.org/caregiving. A public service announcement brought to you by AARP and the Ad Council.
Taking a look at the roads from the Team Hochberg Traffic Center, I'm Sue Aller. Inbound on the Eden from Lake Cook to Montrose is 15 minutes. Outbound a little bit slow at 25. The Kennedy, inbound from O'Hare to the Burn Interchange, 45 minutes. Outbound is 40. The Eisenhower inbound from Wolf to the Old Post Office is 55 minutes. Outbound is 24, and watch out for a crash taking out the left lane at Oak Park Avenue. The inbound Stevenson from Tri-State to Lakeshore is 40. Outbound is 21. The Dan Ryan from 95th to the Burn Interchange is 35. Not too bad on the outbound side at 13. This report is sponsored by AutoZone. Get in the zone. Starting Stronger starts at AutoZone, where they've got battery solutions in the form of free battery testing, free battery charging, and replacement batteries that fit your needs. That's what makes them America's #1 battery destination. Get in the zone, AutoZone. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next, but now a check of your forecast from the National Weather Service.
Today will be sunny to partly cloudy, breezy, and pleasant with a high of 61. Tonight will be partly cloudy with a low of 41. Tomorrow, expect partly sunny skies with a high of 62. Wednesday will bring pleasant conditions with sunshine and some clouds reaching a high of 57. Thursday will have sun peeking through high clouds with a high of 58. I'm meteorologist Jason Caterina on AM 560, The Answer.
Now, from the Signature Bank Studios.
Top of the morning, Dan Proft here. Barack Obama on the campaign trail in the closing days before tomorrow's elections, and particularly in Virginia and New Jersey. I mean, this is him campaigning for Spanberger in Virginia. The rock star for that party. Man, talk about a rap that doesn't age well. You thought, yeah, it was so new, so novel. It was so exciting, wasn't it? I mean, I guess, not for me. I mean, I watched his rap in the General Assembly in Illinois before, and then for in the Senate race and in the Senate. I mean, I said it's just like a flim-flam guy. Totally pedestrian, pseudo-intellect. Not interesting. and hadn't gotten any better in the decade he's been out of office.
It's like every day is Halloween.
Hilarious.
Except it's all tricks and no treats.
Zing.
And here's the thing. It's not as if we didn't see some of this coming.
Oh yeah.
I will admit
we sure
it's
did.
worse than even I expected, but I did warn y'all.
Whoa, yeah. Go back and look at the tape. Boy, as I said, some things just don't age well, and that act that he's running, you think that still moves the needle? For more on this, the races, and also I have to get her reaction to something that our very own Governor Jelly Belly said. Carol Markowitz joins us. She is a columnist for the New York Post. She's also the co-author of Stolen Youth, How Radicals Are Erasing Innocence and Indoctrinating a Generation, and host of the Carol Markowitz Show on iHeartRadio. Carol, thanks for joining us. Appreciate it.
Thank you so much for having me, Dan.
Barack Obama bringing his A game there on the stump, huh? All tricks and no treats. Did you catch that? I mean, he could turn a phrase, that guy.
Yeah, it's I could see why he's known as such a great orator.
It's scintillating. Yeah. Soaring rhetoric.
I never found him to be a great speaker. I think he's got a nice voice, but I cannot think of a single thing he said during the presidency that was memorable. And I could think of, George W. Bush was considered somebody who had kind of marbles in his mouth, but he had so many things that I could remember him saying, including, right after 9/11 and talking into the microphone and talking to the people at the 9/11 site. But Barack Obama, I can remember, if you like your doctor, you can keep your doctor, and that's about it.
Yeah. So speaking of a phrase that didn't age well, So in New York City, let's talk about New York City, a place you used to call home. You still write for the Post. It's going to be Mamdani in a walk by all indications. And so what does that really mean for New York and New York City, both in the city itself as well as what does it portend for Kathy Hochul's reelection? Could that actually be in play?
It could. The New York State is obviously very different than New York City. New York City is deep, deep blue. New York State is not. So it's interesting because I do think that Kathy Hochul has a chance to be knocked off, especially if her support of Mamdani starts to become an issue in that race. I agree with you. I think Mamdani wins pretty easily tomorrow. There's a lot of people who still have hope that Andrew Cuomo pulls it out. I left New York because of Andrew Cuomo, and I hope he pulls it out. So that's where we are right now. But yeah, it's a real tough situation in New York where this guy with terrible policy ideas, which have failed every single time they've been tried, is likely going to be the next mayor. And it's worrisome because when he ultimately is not able to push through these awful policies because he doesn't have the power, he can't raise taxes as he imagines he can, what's he going to do then? And that's what New Yorkers really need to worry about.
Well, the problem with Cuomo, as nicely satirized by Saturday Night Live this weekend.
As we all know, as soon as you are elected mayor, everyone in the city immediately hates you. And in that way, I am already one step ahead of the game.
I think Miles Teller nailed it there, didn't he?
Yeah, that's excellent. And that's absolutely right. And, I saw a woman on Twitter tweet, Cuomo killed my husband, but I'm still voting for him. And that's the sense in New York right now, that this is where they've gotten to, where the guy who mishandled COVID and behaved just in a horrible fashion, didn't help the state at all, hated New York City during that time. He's the great hope of stopping the communists. So,
but I mean,
New York.
Yeah, but I mean, the Mamdani thing, to your point, if he's going to be hamstrung by, if not the city council, then the state legislature in Albany in terms of what he wants to do, increasing the city income tax and corporate tax and free this and free that and so forth, then, what really is the difference? Because Cuomo is just a company man who will go in whichever direction he needs to go in advance of his own political expediency. So don't Mamdani and Cuomo basically end up in the same place? Does it matter?
Yeah. I'm pretty much. I think that's true. I do. I think a more moderate Democrat is better than a far left Democrat. And the question of Mamdani's anti-Semitism, the question of his globalizing the Intifada, all of that is also better for Cuomo than Mamdani. When Mamdani's unable to push through the policies that he wants to push through, I could see him blaming the Jews of New York City, like, who did this to him? How dare you not let me do what I want to do?
Why?
So I don't know. Cuomo is still the better option, even though obviously both Democrats are pretty terrible.
Those female Jewish rabbis, particularly the dude pretending to be a female Jewish rabbi, are going to be really upset if he does that.
Right. I just want to tell people, if you don't know, a female Jewish rabbi like that, especially a trans Jewish rabbi like that, it's like a Catholic priest who's a woman. It's around the same kind of nonsense.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, yes. Yeah. Nonsense. Good word. I did have to get your reaction to our governor here in Illinois. J.B. Pritzker spoke to the Illinois Federation of Teachers, which has now come under the power of the head of the Chicago Teachers Union. So now the Chicago Teachers Union boss is also the head of the Illinois Federation of Teachers, all the teachers in the state, not just Chicago.
So fun.
Isn't that great? Yeah, nice when you can consolidate things, to scale them the way that the union's doing. And this is Trump's mess. And since you wrote a book on this topic, your opinion is perfect for this. This is Trump's big talking message to Trump and his allies when it comes to interceding in K through 12 education.
They want to criminalize educators for supporting LGBTQ students. They want to turn classrooms into cultural war battlegrounds. And I'm sorry to be vulgar, but Donald Trump and his cronies can all the way off.
All right, Carol, you can F all the way off.
Yeah, use the F word so you know he's serious.
Yeah, and you know what? And that wasn't contrived, by the way. He's just so upset. It just came out.
Right. The thing is that conservatives didn't want these battles. They were forced into them by the far left teachers unions, these special interest groups that have such a hold on Democrats. The idea that conservatives are banning books, they're banning pornographic books in elementary school libraries. The things that we found when we wrote Stolen Youth are just jaw-dropping. And the way that the teachers unions get these messages into our schools, including in red states, including in red areas. If you're listening to this in a red area and you think your school is safe and fine, let me tell you, they're coming for your school districts more than anyone. Because they already feel like they have Chicago. They already have New York City. They're expanding their reach. The idea that Donald Trump wanted a battle over schools, you could see in his first term that he did not, but the left pushed him into it, and now that fight is being had.
Right, and I mean, you just have to go back. It doesn't seem to be as au courant right now, but I mean, you don't have to go too far back when there was a lot of video sharing of moments at school board meetings around the country where parents were reading from the course material in their elementary school, and they were being shut down. We can't read that stuff in here by the adults, but you can't read this stuff in here, but it's okay for my third grader. And those moments that you really, drove home the point, and I think at least awakened some people around the country.
Absolutely. My governor, Ron DeSantis, he went on television and he read from one of the books that they were trying to force into school libraries. Of course, the television station had to cut him off because you're not allowed to read porn on television, but you somehow can read it when you're a third grader at public school. I think that battle, it's funny because I don't know if conservatives won it ultimately, because these books do still exist in so many different schools. But that fight has to continue. But eyes were opened is the main thing there.
Well, the thing that's disappointing about it is, some eyes were open and some unconventional allies in places like, Northern Virginia, Fairfax and Loudoun counties, left of center parents that had enough with the treatment they were getting from their district. But then, they elect Youngkin, they throw Terry McAuliffe out, and then 4 years later, it's regression to the mean. And so... what lessons were really learned?
Right. It's so hard to say. And the problem with Virginia is that all these people are moving in from D.C., making it bluer all the time. It used to be a reliable red state, of course, and then it got bluer and bluer, and now it's deep purple but trending blue. It's also just a tough time for Republicans to win in a state like that. Even though the shutdown is completely the fault of the Democrats do a good job of manipulating the media into reporting it as if Republicans are actually in charge there. So things like that are really tough in the Virginia race. I hope they do the right thing. I actually have the most hope tomorrow for New Jersey. I think that one's going to be the closest. I hope Jack Ciattarelli pulls it over the finish line. But look, it is an off-year election when Republicans have the presidency in both houses of Congress. If it's even remotely close, I think Republicans should see that as a win.
Carol Markowitz, columnist for the New York Post, co-author of Stolen Youth, How Radicals Are Erasing Innocence and Indoctrinating a Generation, and a host of the Carol Markowitz Show on iHeartRadio. Carol, thanks for joining us as always. Appreciate it.
Thank you so much, Dan. Thanks.
And Carol joined us on the Turnkey.Pro answer line.
This is Chicago's Morning Answer.
Your show keeps me alive during the week. There's nobody I'd rather listen to between 5 and 9 in the morning than you guys.
On AM 560, The Answer.
When we lose a pet, we lose a member of the family. The house feels quieter, the leash hangs by the door, and our hearts ache for that unconditional love. At Cozy Acres Pet Cemetery and Crematory, they understand that feeling because they're pet owners too. Since 1981, family-owned Cozy Acres has helped other families say goodbye with dignity, respect, and compassion. Whether you choose burial or cremation, your pet is handled gently with the same care you gave them every day of their life. They'll guide you through every step of this difficult time so you can have peace of mind knowing your beloved companion is in good hands. Cozy Acres Pet Cemetery, a final act of love for your faithful friend. Cozy Acres is proudly family-owned, proudly American, and proud to support the values we all share on AM 560 The Answer. Visit cozyacres.co, that's cozy with a K, acres.co, or call 815-723-9588.
When the power goes out, life stops. Heat, AC, fridge, phones, all gone. But with a Generac home standby generator from True Power Generator Service, your home powers back on automatically, so you're never left in the dark. Book your consultation today at TruePowerGenerator.com. That's TruePowerGenerator.com. Plus, 560 listeners get a free 10-year extended warranty. Terms and conditions apply. Call for details. True Power Generator Service and Generac. It's not just a generator, it's a power move.
Hi, my name is Dr. Michael Huber. During cold and flu season, a nearby cough or sneeze can trigger a familiar dread, that helpless feeling of being defenseless against an invisible viral threat. But what if you could change the narrative? What if you could fortify your body's natural defenses? This is why I developed Virago, the immune enhancement cocktail designed to give your body the upper hand. Virago is more than a supplement. It's a revolutionary liquid formula packed with 23 powerful natural nutraceuticals for rapid absorption. This unique blend is scientifically crafted to help build resilience and keep you protected. Don't just hope for good health. Make it happen with Virago. Virago and Maha, making America healthy again.
Virago. Order your bottle today online at myvirago.com and use coupon code IMMUNE to save 30%. myvirago.com. Coupon code IMMUNE.
AM 560, The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan Proft here. This was sort of interesting. There was a few layoffs at CBS News. Do you care? No, me neither. But it's just sort of a fun moment to remind people what you're dealing with there, all these news programs and the behind-the-scenes people who are just as bad as the on-the-air people. Terry Sherman is a producer. He's a black dude. He got fired. I guess Obama's BFF is on her way out, too. A little bit of bloodletting. Of course, they're going to blame everything on Bari Weiss because she's, not a raving Marxist, and she was brought in by the Paramount dude to be basically the head of CBS News. Anyway, Terry Sherman basically said the whole thing is racist. Remember, this is the left. I mean, it is still a news station that is dominated by the left. Now, all of a sudden, CBS News, because of some layoffs, as they're flailing, as a lot of legacy media companies are, it's all racist all the time because some persons of color were let go.
I just got laid off from my job at CBS, and every producer on my team who got laid off is a person of color. Every person who gets to stay and will be relocated within the company is a white person. Now, in my meeting with the executive who told me I was getting laid off, I specifically asked him if it was a consideration for us to be relocated somewhere else within the company, and he said that we advocated to keep the show. We advocated to try to get you relocated somewhere, and we couldn't. Because I asked him, why are you the person who is making this decision or delivering the news that we're being laid off? And he said, oh, it could have been anyone. Only to later find out, because it wasn't until I went downstairs thinking that me and all of my colleagues had been laid off, that I found out that it was only the people of color. So I went one by one to my white colleagues. Are you getting laid off? No. 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 So I went back up to his office and I told him, I think you lied to my face. And come to find out, it was not his decision to eliminate the show that I worked for. But he did get to decide who got to stay. I told him, you said that you couldn't get us relocated, only to find out that you were able to get some people relocated, and they all happen to be white. Am I supposed to believe that that's a coincidence? And he said, yes. I'm supposed to believe that's a coincidence. I said, do you believe that's a coincidence? He said, I do, because I chose to keep the people who I had worked with before. So mind you, not only is it not based on merit, it is in its result racist. I don't care if you decided to keep people who had purple colored hair. You deciding to keep people who you had worked with before, which don't even know if that's true. If the outcome of that decision is racist, the action was racist, that is
It's dizzying logic. Yeah, gee, I wonder why he wouldn't want to keep Mr. Sherman. By the way, so this guy was not racist, and then you got fired, and he became racist. What else is new? Now, the flip side of this, I like juxtapositions. Wanda Sykes, being celebrated at the Variety Power of Women lunch, had this to say about how she makes hiring decisions these days, and she's a big potentate in Hollywood.
I'm going to be up front with you. If when it comes to a position, and I look on the paper, and they right there, or she might be right here, and he's up there, I'm hiring the woman. And that's just how I operate. And I'm be honest with you, if she's a black woman, you got the job. Girl, you got the job.
Yay, 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 yay. So on the one hand, the honky has to prove the negative, that you're not a racist. On the other hand, a Wanda Sykes can be out and proud in the same direction. Isn't that interesting? Oh, but the left cannibalizing the left in media and entertainment, and what's the difference, really? I'm fine with that. Thanks for joining us on another edition of Chicago's Morning Answer. Back tomorrow. It is now 9 a.m., AM 560 WIND, Chicago.
Obama takes on Trump. I'm Therese Crowley, Fox News. Democrats looking to turn two states' governor's elections into a referendum on President Trump. Former President Obama on the campaign trail in New Jersey and Virginia, blaming the chaos from Washington on President Trump. And in the New York City mayor's race, President Trump tells CBS 60 Minutes that if it's a choice between a bad Democrat and a communist, I'm going to pick the bad Democrat all the time. That would be Cuomo.